Yeehaw, partners. It's a brand new podcast. I'm heading to Austin this week. I can't wait. I leave out a Sunday and I show up at old Thomas' house. We're doing a Two Bears, One Cave from Austin. I can't wait to tell you all. This character's working, I think.
I kind of liked it.
This is a badass cowboy hat. Let's be very candid right now. This cowboy hat is the tits. And by the way, I have the biggest head in the world. They had the hardest time finding this cowboy hat for me. This is a cowboy hat I used when I ran Buffalo through from one fucking place in Texas to another fucking place in Texas.
Show the feather. Look to your right.
Was it?
Your other right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about wearing it to Austin I can't wait to go see Tom in Austin. Better yet, I am at the Park Theater at the MGM in Vegas this weekend, Saturday night. Saturday night in Vegas. I can't fucking wait. I'm going out. God, I wish I could get that booster shot. Oh, I'd love to get that Johnson & Johnson booster shot. Everyone's talking about how fucking bad it is. I'd take it out and I'd go fucking. I'd tell you what I do. First thing I do, go to Olympic Gardens in Vegas. I'd go to a strip club. I haven't been to a strip club forever. But that's where you really test out a fucking booster shot. You know? Anyway, Vegas this Saturday night. MGM at the Park Theater. I think I'm saying it right. See me in Vegas. Go to Bert.com for tickets. And then the tour starts, by the way. I should say all of this. The tour starts October 6th, Montgomery, Alabama, Augusta, Georgia, Charleston, West Virginia. This is when you know I'm on tour, when I can recite my tour dates by just going through and telling you where I'll be off the top of my head. Atlanta, Cobb Energy Center. We have 2 shows that Sunday night. And then we go into, let's see how good I am. Cedar Rapids, with Milwaukee, Sioux City, Peoria, Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, Tallahassee. I got Fort Myers, Hollywood, Florida, Jacksonville, Tampa. Fucking come on. Anyway, I'm on tour. I can't fucking wait. It's funny, man. I am so much in tour mode right now. After doing Red Rocks, I'm ready to go. I am ready to go. I've been writing nonstop. I've been journaling. For all of you asking, I know that you haven't heard that episode of Two Bears, One Cave yet. Anyway, I don't talk about it on this, but we talk about me having a little bit of a meltdown in an airport on the next weekend, Two Bears, One Cave. And just so you know, I am in therapy. So we're all good, everybody. There's a smile and a bounce back in this kid's step. Today's episode is a great one. We've got a lot of podcast sponsors today. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to you guys for listening to our sponsors, using the code to support them. Today's podcast is a great podcast, and it's one I should have done when The Cabin came out, but I couldn't because of COVID reasons. Today's guests from Rotten Science, which is our production company, are the producers, director and producer of both producers, but directors of my show, The Cabin, on Netflix, which is currently still streaming. Check it out. Everyone that has seen it has enjoyed it, and I think you'll enjoy it. If you haven't seen it, you'll really enjoy it. It'll catch you off guard. It's fun. It's irreverent. And we talk about that this episode. We talk about that, and we talk in detail about something I feel like doesn't get enough credit, and that is my buddy Ari Shaffir. We talk about This Is Not Happening. We go into great detail about a little bit about Ari, we talk about This Is Not Happening and how just kind of how pivotal that was for stand-up and how that kind of changed the landscape of how stand-up was viewed on the internet, because Ari was very, very litigious about how he wanted that project done. It's a really great project. If you listen to this, then go listen to the episode Tom did with Roy Wood. It's pretty interesting because I just listened to the one Tom did with Roy Wood on Two Bears, One Cave. But we talk about The Cabin. We talk about we talk about the Kelly Cuoco, Miss Pat stuff. We talk about the creation of that show and how we got that show and how we made that show and the hiccups of making that show. And we laugh throughout it. We talk about
Nikki and Caitlyn, and
we talk about enema. Nikki and Caitlyn, and we talk about the coffee enema. And we talk about Donnell and Miss Pat and Anthony Anderson and my Rolfer. And we talk about all the episodes. I'm pretty sure.
Take a little weed break.
Yeah, yep. I think Matthew smokes a little bit of a blunt. I don't think that I'm telling any secrets out of school. We're all in Hollywood. We can do whatever the fuck we want. But we do. But I think what's really interesting about this episode, and I think you guys will really enjoy, is just kind of coming clean about because they were a part of This Is Not Happening, or at least Jeff Tomsic was a part. I don't think Matthew was a part of This Is Not Happening, and they were also the guys that were about to produce Ari's special when Ari got in that little dust up online where he tweeted someone savory things about certain celebrities. And we talk about, we were working together when that happened. I think there was a period where Ari thought, whatever he thought, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We talk about all of that and how they arrived at the certain decisions they did to not go on and shoot the special. And we talk about it. It's not bad. Nothing bad about Ari. I promise you that. And if you're looking for that, then it's the wrong place. And I know a lot of people were bummed out that I did a podcast. I did Two Bears, One Cave with Ari. A lot of people are Team Leanne. Listen, I'm Team Leanne just as much as you are. But I've known Ari for a very long time, and I know that he has despite the chaos that he embodies and is readily wanting to sell to everyone, there's a very sweet man inside there. And that's the Ari I know. And that's why we had a great Two Bears, One Cave. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And if you're Team Leanne, hey, listen, I got you. And if you're mad about that, I understand that too. But this is a great podcast. It's a really fun podcast with two guys I worked with for over a month, and we talk about how we got the celebrities we got. We talk about, which is pretty funny, and we just talk about the making of a TV show. And this one is really important because it shows you just how many people it takes to raise a barn when it comes to Hollywood. The people at Netflix that were helpful, these guys, Mike Gibbons, Todd Garner. We go through everyone and we talk about kind of just how it happened and how we made it. So I think you're going to enjoy it. If you enjoyed The Cabin, you're going to love this podcast. And if you liked This Is Not Happening, you're going to love this podcast. And if you like me, well, you know that I probably talk over everyone throughout the entire podcast. So whatever you're going to fucking do. All right, let's start the episode without further ado. Oh, and by the way, if you see me in Austin, fella, don't look my way. Is that what the Cowboys say?
I don't know.
I'll be hanging out in Austin. If you see me, come say hi. Let's fucking party in Austin. I can't wait to go to Austin. I'm so fucking pumped.
It's going to be fun.
First Two Bears, One Cave in Austin. And by the way, I think it's in makeshift studio.
Oh, I was going to say they finished.
I wanted to do it in Rogan's studio. See if Rogan would let us do it in his studio.
That'd be fun.
But I think he uses his studio.
For what?
I think he's got this passion project. Oh, by the way, did you see the podcast Rogan did with Amanda Knox?
Oh, no. I'm going to watch that, though.
First of all, I had like a crush on Amanda Knox. I should just fucking, what am I doing? I had a crush on Amanda Knox when she, like, all that stuff was going on. I was like, this girl's really cute. Sucked that she's going through all this shit. I don't think I really follow the news like that. And then at a certain point, I go, I feel like she's innocent. And then all the stuff comes out. I watch the documentary. I'm like, this girl got fucking railroaded.
Yeah.
Fucking railroaded. Then you hear her on Rogan's podcast. First of all, still adorable. I mean, still very cute, but fucking so well spoken, so clear with her words, so fucking smart that you're like, Jesus Christ. I wish I'd known she was out of my league when she was in jail. All right. Without further ado, we got a great podcast for you from Rotten Science, from The Cabin, from This Is Not Happening, from Tag, I think, the movie Tag. Put your hands together. Just a little bit. Just give me a little tea-tie tapper. Jeff Tomsic and Matthew Vaughan. Matthew Vaughan. Jeffrey Tomsic. Hello. But yeah, this is the beginning of me taking charge of my careers. I just was like, it was promotion for me. And I've just talked about this, but it's crazy when you say to yourself, like, I know I got the fans there. I just want to make sure they know about the show. So often you hear people, Jen Kirkman always says, she gets emails. They're like, when are you coming to Boston? She's like, I was just in Boston. You always get those emails. Yeah. So I was like, all right, so I'm not going to deal with those emails. What I'll do is I'll get in front of them and I'll start putting out posters and as much content to promote the shows. And then all the shows started selling out. And I was like, all right, people make fun of me about being the promo king and everything. But it helps all of us because it just gets people to the thing. You know what's so funny is I just thought to myself, I did no promotion for The Cabin. Like, I really feel like I did no press. I did some podcasts, but
I feel like you did a ton of stuff on Instagram. I do too.
I feel like it was everywhere, though.
I think it was, but I look back and I go, it's the thing people bring up the most to me. They're like, I like when I do radio, I love the cabin.
Yeah, people love the show. I hear this all the time.
Same. It's one of those, but also is part of it. It came out in a time when we were, still in quarantine.
When everyone was miserable.
Everyone was miserable. And then you have a show like that just.
Well, it's so funny that we made that show having no idea that the whole world was going to get shut down. And then it was a show about shutting down your life.
Yeah. Do you remember hearing rumblings of COVID when we were on set?
Yeah. We had, we had pickup days scheduled. And we were going to do, a couple pickups. I think we had 3 days scheduled. And next thing you know, New York shut down. And we were like, fuck, we got to back these days up. We've got to get this shot.
Yeah.
And then it was like a few days.
We barely made it. We finished the show 5 seconds before the world shut down.
Well, I think, you know what? The cabin taught me more than anything in this business. Anything. And it was like, it was you two, fucking who's our god damn it, why am I blanking on our head writer's name?
Mike Gibbons.
Yes. And just the process of making this show was so fucking fascinating to me. I loved every bit of it. I loved being in the writer's room. I remember watching the first cut of me and Tom and Joey, and then watching the first cut of Miss Pat. And Miss Pat, I would say, I want to talk about all this, but I think Miss Pat's episode defined how the series was going to go.
It was so funny to watch you watch the show, because you were like, oh, now I understand what you were doing.
I didn't understand I didn't really know what we were doing. And I say this candidly, and I want to be protective of I don't want to disregard anyone's creative input.
Yeah.
Because it was a collective, and Netflix was so fucking generous with notes and with allowing us to do whatever the fuck we want, and letting us go as far as we wanted to go. I mean, we did things where Segura texted me the next night. He's like, "Hey man, we can't air that." And I was like,
"Emu hands."
Oh, we aired it.
The emu hands.
A small bit of it.
A small bit.
We didn't air
there were moments in that edit bit where my palms were sweating. I'm like, I don't know how the world will react.
Me too. It just come out, and I'm having full frontal male nudity to just about everybody. Just about everybody.
We accidentally made that a key part of the show. That you're just nude at the beginning of almost every episode. That just sort of happened.
One of my favorite things was when Netflix came to the Post House and we screened a couple episodes for them, and because they, at that point, they were unclear of exactly okay, how, we kind of see what's happening, but we really don't know what this is. And then Ben Cavey coming and sitting there and just being like, wow. And Todd being like, see, there's a show.
Yeah, see. It's interesting to see, I want to talk about how the show was created, because what I've learned in this business is just how important a creative producer like Todd Garner is. It's almost like having a head coach.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
Head coach, not an offensive coordinator, not a defensive coordinator, not a special teams coach, but like a head coach to give you a good speech. And that's how it started for me. I'll speak, but we'll move forward to that. And then I would love to get into episodes and what we missed and what we talked about. And then I want to talk about everything you guys have done. Cause there's a lot. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know how much of a thumbprint you guys have had on our comedy scene, And when I say that, I mean everyone that is listening to this podcast, all the people they like, you've worked with all of us in somewhat capacity. Maybe we should have started there. We'll start on the cabin. And so, or let's start there. Let's go backwards. So, is my recollection correct to say Ari is the impetus of you connecting with all of us?
Yeah. Everything started with this not happening for me.
This has not, and this not happening is so important because that was the first time that we got an opportunity to do what we did best, which is storytelling, unedited. I mean, edited obviously, but looking good, shot beautifully, super sexy in a fun way. But talk about that if you could.
This is not happening is still one of my favorite things in my life. It was pure joy all the way through. We, it started with Eric Abrams and Sam Safer and Ari, who came to me when I was just a hayseed trying to be a director and had faith in me. That the first time we did it was a web series, for Comedy Central Digital. We had no money, and we were trying to kind of replicate what they did at JFL, which was sort of the secret show, and they did it at a strip club, and so it felt kind of raw and gritty in a way that no other show felt. And so I mean, we started by running around town, me and the cinematographer of the first season, who's an old friend of mine, Steve Glaser, looking at all these kind of weird bars and stuff, and then somehow landed at Cheetah's.
Cheetah's.
It's not really a strip club. It's like a go-go club. It's a strange,
it's like old, a Jumbo's Clown Room.
Yeah, it's.
It was a great strip club. It was like for our, like, meaning it looks like a strip club. It doesn't look like a high-end strip club.
It's like a dive bar.
It's like a dive bar. It's like a dive bar with a lot of velvety red tones. It was fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, it's just.
Is that where you shot the first digital season?
Yeah, and I went there sort of. Under duress. I was like, I don't really want to. I was like nervous about shooting a strip club and dragging comics to perform in a strip club. But something about that place just looks really, really great on camera. It has this. It used to anyway. I haven't been there since we finished, but it had this great bar from Vegas, from like an old casino that was shut down. It's like a Tiffany stained glass bar, and the big thing is I had that stage in the middle, so we could surround.
You could do in the round.
That was a big thing about it to me, is like I hadn't seen a show performed where you could see the audience in every shot, and it was a weird thing when we started. The comics were like, there are people sitting just staring at my ass the whole time, and we had to talk to those audience members about, like,
you had to tell the comics, hey, you can't turn around,
and
because the cameras are all one way. When you turn around, we lose your face, and there were people like Stanhope who were like, I don't really care.
Yeah, which was also great.
Which is also great.
I didn't try to enforce the rules that much, because whatever happened, and that was sort of the nature of the show, which was lovely. And but it took like a couple of years to kind of get over that problem in terms of talking to those people that were in that part of the audience. And we started kind of friends and family over there, and just were like, do us a favor and stare at butts the whole time. And but that was like kind of the beautiful thing about the show, is like, I want to get away from audience shots in stand-up, which I think are like the equivalent of a fake canned laugh track.
Yeah.
It's like a visual canned laugh. It's like you cut to someone laughing to tell people that this is a funny joke, which I couldn't stand. I was like, let's just have the audience there for real in a wide shot, naturally laughing, and you get it, and you don't have to cut. And that was a big thing for me. And I also like just looked at old Lenny Bruce shows and wanted that kind of, dirty, Bob Fosse shooting stand up, which I hadn't seen. Everything to me at that point kind of looked like a Michael Bolton show from the 90s.
Yeah,
in stand up.
No, it definitely did, with just because what was big at the time was half hours.
Yeah,
and half hours were just very cookie cutter, mass produced.
Yeah.
Rick Mill, I think, produced them, or at least they did at one point, and it was just like get a stage. It could be a game show stage. It could be a pet competition stage. Doesn't matter. Get a stage, light the fuck out of it. Give me some blues. And I remember when they were like, pick your background, and people would be like, it's an outfield, and my number's on the back.
Yeah. And that was everything in specials. But and it's funny now, everything is much different. But
audience in masks.
I always loved stand up and going to club shows, and I was like, why don't we shoot a club show? I'd never seen that on television. That like kind of tiny, low ceiling room where you're in there and you feel like the sweat and the heat, and it's a hot room, and that's what we tried to do. And we had some tiny amount of money. Where
I was curious what a budget was. Season 1 and season 2 were all digital, right?
Yeah. Season 1 we had $25,000 to make the whole season,
which is insane.
Which is fucking insane.
Yeah. So it was all out. It was like. Me and Eric and Sam, the executive producers, like cutting gels for the lighting department, hanging lights. It was like we were pulling stuff out of our homes to decorate the background.
Good God.
It was that kind of. It was super
and that
fun.
was Rogan, Segura, TJ Miller.
Yep, TJ Miller. God, it's all run together. So many people have done the show.
Pull up season 1. Get it up on the Wikipedia, because Ari reached out to me and asked me to do it.
Yeah,
and he asked me to tell the machine.
Yeah.
And I said I couldn't because of Travel Channel, which was accurate. Right. And one of the things that is exhausting and beautiful about Ari, and I think we can all say, Ari is, we've all had our runs with Ari, is He never believed that. And he always believed I didn't do it because I didn't want to be a part of it. And I was like, that's not, I go, buddy, I'm in a fucking really bad place at Travel Channel. They don't want me on the network and I'm in a deal. And they were trying to get rid of me constantly. And he was like, no, be honest with me. Be honest with me. You didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do it. Wasn't enough money. Was it enough money? And I was like, no, I don't. I was like, I don't think you're paying anyone. So TJ Miller is, by the way, one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Oh God.
Some of the best stories. Nick Thune's story was amazing. But this series was so pivotal because it was built from the ground up. And when you make your own thing, and even with Comedy Central's input, but for a little money, you make your own thing. They don't get to throw that many notes in, and
I mean that. I think that's truly the beauty of it. And Comedy Central was so great, and they basically just let us run because we weren't spending that much money.
Sean Patton gets gay bash. Sean Patton's such an amazing talent.
Patton. That story is one of my favorites of all time.
Joey Diaz.
Julie Lewis was so great.
Heroin.
Man. Harley.
Segura overdoses.
Man, it's funny because so many people have done the show. Oh my God, my memory is so terrible too. But yeah, God, what a great.
And, Jordan Levy, the DP for The Cabin, ended up doing This Is Not Happening once it went to series.
So wait, so this was season 1, and it was
that was Chris Darnell.
Now, do me a favor, another window.
Steve Calitri.
Pull it up on YouTube. I want to see the YouTubes.
Oh yeah, God, this is
because the view. So here's also what was huge about this is, by the way, a little sidebar. I was at the show. I did the show that sold this series.
Oh really?
Yeah. So it was me, Bill Burr, Jim Jeffries,
right,
and someone else. And Bill Burr told this amazing story about getting fucked at a college for money, and then the woman who was a cunt to him all night that underpaid him tried to hook up with him, and he was like, I'm gonna take her back and get my fucking 12 grand out of her. And it was such a great story. And then Jim Jeffries told an amazing story about snorting coke with like 2 strippers in a room, and then I told the Tracy Morgan story, and it was a fucking spectacular show. And then from what I hear, that was when they were like, all right, let's do this as a web series.
That lineup is incredible.
Yeah.
How can you not?
Well, and it's funny because it's so funny to look
Ali
back.
Ali Sadiq might be the best story of all of them. It may be the best. Mexicans got on boots.
Yeah, he is.
Mexicans got on boots was a story where here's what's interesting, right? So as a storyteller, sometimes you see something in a story and you go, and this is, by the way, what used to drive me nuts about some people who told stories. You'd see people in a story who found a key mechanism on how to tell a story that kind of stumbled on it, but it made the story brilliant. Mexican got on boots, taught me a lesson in it's a secret. It's like an M. Night Shyamalan story where you got to find out what Mexicans got on boots. He's like, well, this is my first, and it allows you to experience prison through Ali Sadiq's eyes, because all of us identify with being the new kid at school, and for him it's prison, and it was such an amazing story. All of us, every single LA comic reached out to him and was like, hey man, I need you on my podcast. I want to become friends with you. Like, I still to this day am friends with Ali Sadiq. I love that guy.
He is a beautiful man, and it's funny because I came in from outside stand-up at that point, and then just watching the variety of storytelling, it's fucking hard too to do this on stage.
Well, that was the other thing, is that Ari and I, during this time, Ari was very into storytelling, and I'm obviously I love storytelling. That's all I do, really, and I love telling a good story. I love telling a good story.
We're so good at it.
And thank you. But Ari and I would break down stories, and like Sebastian told a story one time. It was a great story about him getting headshots and coming to LA. But it didn't work. And we went to lunch that afternoon, and we're like, why doesn't it work? Like, we were laughing and we would break down Sebastian's story. And at the end, we realized he doesn't have an end. Like, every story needs an end. And then what was really great about Ari, and I look, everyone knows I love Ari. I understand that there are people that think that I wouldn't because of our past. I love Ari. I talked to him last night. I haven't
talked to him for so long, and I love him too.
I talked to him last night about the thing that we were talking about out there.
Yeah.
And then he fucking lost his mind. And then I talked to Rogan. I talked to Segura. I talked to everyone about it. I talked to you guys. Anyway, Ari would then sit with these guys and work on their stories. And a perfect example of that was Miss Pat.
Yeah.
He thought Miss Pat was brilliant. She had a great story, but he saw that she was taking what he felt were open mic shortcuts, that things that she would that weren't allowing her story to breathe enough. And he would sit with everyone and work on their story. I remember him calling me up going, "What story you telling?" And I was like, "I'm fighting a bear." And he was, "You don't need any help. All right, you're good." Yeah. And then he would sit with him, and he really cared about this show so much as he made sure that Comedy Central, when it went to series, put it on YouTube, and that was the game changer.
Yeah, the thing about working with Ari is I didn't really understand this as a buffoon coming into doing stand up like this and do storytelling. And he was so hard-nosed about everything.
Everything. By the way, that is what makes Ari brilliant and very difficult to be friends with.
It's very true. But I have so much respect for how he ran that, particularly in retrospect, because there were a lot of things that I think I would have made compromises on for the show that he was like, nope, you can't do that. Nope. You know, down to like tiny details. And he'd sit through every mix, like the laughter's too hot. It feels fake. And, you know, he would micromanage things that I didn't understand that were really important. And but he was like my mentor in how to shoot stand up from a comic's perspective. And it made the show so honest and authentic in a way that I got to give him entirely that credit for, because you know, the way it looked began with me and the DP, but then he was like, "Turn the lights. This is bullshit. Turn the lights down. You know, we can't do this. You know, you can't talk to the comics like that. You know, all this stuff was so great. It was sometimes annoying, but
I mean, look, I
but that's the best.
We all have. Well, maybe we'll go into even greater detail on how difficult Ari can be at times, but he doesn't do it out of a place simply to be difficult. He does it based out of this moral code he has that he lives by.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. We need to reach out to Ari and tell him to call the dogs off from the Jew special getting canceled, because I swear to God, yesterday I got another fucking DM from like one of his fans that's like, "If I see you on the street, I'm going to, knock you out or some shit," because his, people think that since we were producing Jew, which is the name of his special, not a derogatory comment.
You could produce a Jew. You just gotta meet a Jewish woman.
So because we were producing that special, the story of what happened with that.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. I mean, by the way, I don't think Ari has a problem with us talking about this.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But no, well, I know Ari. We both all know Ari.
I'm sure he's still
freedom of speech. Say what you're gonna say. I'm gonna disagree with it, but say what you're gonna say. We were all there together. We were making the cabin when the Kobe tweet came out.
Yeah.
And that was the thing is, I was very excited. Ari's one of my favorite comics. I love him.
Yeah.
But we were not the ones who pulled the plug on that. The venue finally, the amount of death threats they were getting, and it was the Skirball connected to NYU. They pulled the plug. Yeah. And so then we were left with like, hey, what can we do? But I think his fans, when they saw that it was no longer happening, they looked at us and they were like, why? And I still get, literally yesterday, I got a fucking DM from someone being like, fuck you,
Really?
Yeah.
It's hard to remember. It was a scary moment for
super scary.
So we can I can tell you where I was. It was Sunday. It was a Sunday, right?
Yeah.
When did Kobe Bryant died on a Sunday? I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I was in New York with Ari at breakfast as it was blowing up.
Remember this, that what was also really sad. It was like very close to where we were shooting the cabin, and very soon after we wrapped.
It was January 26th. I think we wrapped on like the 24th.
Yeah.
We wrapped on a Friday. It was a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. I only say that because Saturday or Sunday, because my kids were there, and I ended up walking was leaving for Gelson's. This little girl at our house she goes, "Who, am I right? Was it a Sunday?" She goes, "Who's Kobe Bryant?" And I went, he's like one of the greatest basketball players ever. She goes, "He's dead." And I went, "What?" She goes, "He's dead. You want to know what? You want to know that?" And I was like, "No." I walk out of my house. Do you know who then texted me? Don the Rolfer.
Wow.
I hadn't talked to the guy in 8 years before we did this episode.
Oh, really?
We did the episode. I didn't talk to him again. Then he texted me that day and he goes, Kobe died. Down the Rolfer. And I go, and then I'm like, what? And then I went to Gelson's and I watched people receive the news on their phone. It was really bizarre to watch people go, what the fuck? And I was just walking around looking at people pull up their phones and go, holy shit. Whoa. And it was kind of crazy. And then I got back, I got on the treadmill, and that's when I saw Ari's tweet. And I was like, and look, all of us can say what you want to say about it. It was not off brand. That was what he did. That was what he did. Yeah. And by the way, he also very much hated the Lakers. And so I don't think, I know for a fact I wasn't blown away by the severity at the time. I was just like, oh, that's Ari. And then
I don't think he was expecting the blowback that it got by any means, especially when you're...
Or Ice-T shared it, I think.
Yeah, especially
really? I didn't even know. I just remember seeing it and being like, oh, God.
But especially when you're about to shoot your special in a couple weeks. And so I was in New York with him. We had just been at the venue when the TMZ article dropped. So that's when I was with him in New York at breakfast and the TMZ article dropped. And I went, this is not good.
Well, I'll tell you what I didn't do. And by the way, this is the only thing I can be accountable for. I did not go to bat for him. I called him the day after. We went to work on Monday. You were back on Monday.
Yep.
We were all in the room on Monday.
Yeah.
And then he believes I didn't, at one point, and we've talked about this a lot, he believes I never called him again for like a month, which is inaccurate. I did call him because I called him after being with you guys, and you guys are like, I think we're gonna have a problem making this special.
Yeah.
I remember at one point he blamed me for cancel privately. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm cool with talking.
We all
about
love Ari.
Yeah, we all love Ari.
Knows,
but at one point, because he was very emotional about it, and he was like, "You canceled my special," and I was like, "I canceled your special. I'm not even producing your special."
He had worked so hard,
and it's such a great.
It's
so fucking good. That's why I'm so upset about it. But honestly, the venue pulled out. And there was not, I mean, it took us so long to find that venue to begin with. But that's what really finally killed it.
It was
on life support as it was. And then when the venue pulled out and they were just concerned, they were getting death threats.
One of the hardest things that I've had to deal with in stand-up is that whole thing. I was just wandering around the post-production office for the Cabin talking to Ari, and he was pretty pissed at me. I remember all of that. I remember being there, and I remember Netflix making mention, is Ari mentioned in the Cabin at all? And he had been, and then really
pull his name out.
Yeah.
And we were like, I was like, it doesn't sound
I didn't
right.
even know that.
Yeah. Because I say to someone, and it rubs me so wrong. It rubs me so wrong. I say to someone at the time, I go, oh yeah, I do this thing Sober October with my buddy Joe Rogan, Tom Segura, and you can hear me about to say another name, and then I just change things. And I mean, it was such a big fucking deal to the industry. I mean, managers calling, agents calling, everyone in the business. And by the way, no coronavirus, so everyone's in the office, everyone's around each other. And I remember you guys dealing with it. And I think I called Ari and I was like, hey, I just giving you a heads up. I don't think this isn't looking good or something.
Well, I honestly, I was so worried about his personal safety. He was not at all. No, he wasn't. But I was like, dude, one crazy person throws something at you, or goes nuts.
Also ruins the show. Yeah, exactly.
And I was just like, I think we should just wait a beat, and do it a little later. And he was pissed at me about that. I don't blame him. But I was mainly just worried about that. Like I couldn't, jump on either side of the conversation really. But when if someone's gonna get hurt or some part of our crew is gonna get hurt, like he didn't want to. I was like, you don't want to be responsible for that. Like that. Yeah. Then you've got this whole thing where a cameraman is attacked, or I don't know, some crazy thing, and that's kind of where the venue was.
Well, I think the venue, it wasn't even about us, the crew. It was about that they were getting death threats. They were getting bomb threats, things.
Well,
like
it was crazy.
It was a boycott of like, you can't have this show.
And it was almost like the very beginning of the height of cancel culture. Yeah. Of them going.
Ari did say though, he was like, dude, this is going to pass in a couple weeks. No one's going to give a shit. I don't know why everyone's getting so upset. He was right.
He was right.
He was right.
Hold on. He said the same to me, and he goes, "Trust me. Stay off social media. 3 weeks. No one's talking about this." Yeah. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I remember thinking, what are we going to war or something? Like, how is this? It seems pretty big. Sure enough, man. Global pandemic, and no one was talking about Ari.
And then that special, we were doing it outside the networks. That it was just with Ari. Man, networks could have used that special.
They could.
They didn't have stuff. That thing he could have put a hefty price tag on that.
He could have.
Fuck.
Yeah, I feel like the thing I never did for him is I didn't stand up for the fact that, and I didn't realize this at the time, but meaning, everyone wants to come to you, go, Ari, so defend his tweet. And you're like, hey man, I remember all I said at times was like, hey, he drugged me. Like, I don't know. I got drugged by him like fucking 2 months ago. That's
made me scared going into friends' places or doing something like this, like taking a drink, just knowing it's always in the back of my head.
I'm not opening this can.
That was my out, was like, hey, he drugged me in my backyard. My daughters thought I got raped. Like, don't worry. And then, but what I never said, and we did talk about this, was not every joke is for everyone. And his fans loved that joke and still love that joke. And I remember talking to him about that I could tell you where I was in my car. I was on Riverside and Coldwater Canyon. And he was like, it hurt my feelings. Like, and it's not Ari mad, it's Ari being sensitive, which is, mostly Ari. I never deal with him like angry, really. Like, he's like, you didn't stand by me. Like, you could have stood by me and said, like, it's a joke. Like, it's a fucking joke. Yeah. And he goes, and I said, but I know, Ari, I think people took it. He goes, doesn't matter. He's like, it doesn't matter. We're comics. We need to stand by each other. He was like, no one stood by me except for Mark Norman. Mark Norman's the only person that said, it's a fucking joke. And here's my hindsight is, clearly it was intended as a joke. And sometimes the most horrible thing you can say in the moment for some people is the funniest thing. Yeah. Clearly not for everyone, but comedy's not for everyone. And I did not go to bat for him. And I didn't go. I haven't gone to bat for a lot of people. Like, I mean, meaning like people. I don't think people understand is that when I start talking about things, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So it's like someone fucking asked me about D'Elia on a fucking interview, and I'm just and I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
and then you're just like I don't know, like I don't know, and then you're like, did I represent myself right or anyone or like? And so I kind of just kept mum about Ari. I've tried to keep mum about everyone's experiences with all their things because you do have relationships with the people.
That one broke me a little bit because I remember, I feel like I got the brunt of it with Ari and he was really upset, and it really upset me because one, I look at him as a friend and someone that I love and respect. And we weren't making any money on that. We were doing it because we love Ari. Yeah. And I remember I had to call Sam Safer, his manager, after talking to Ari, and he was so upset, and I was almost in tears. I had to get off the phone with Sam because I was so just rattled.
I think that's a big thing. Like, regardless of where blame falls or all that, the stuff it's so painful to watch. It's so painful to watch Ari just be so hurt.
He was genuinely hurt.
And.
He was genuinely hurt because he was like, I think partly he was like, you guys know what I do. I did what I do. You guys have known me for so long. Why won't you stand by the thing I always do? And like, and he did. By the way, that was not his worst tweet about a death.
No.
And I got to be dead honest with you. I kind of miss those tweets sometimes. Like when people die, a lot of times now my instinct is, ooh, I wonder what Ari has to say. Like, because the guy from, I don't want to like, point out other ones he's done. Now people go looking. I think he's deleted his Twitter. But I'm the guy from the band Onyx, not Onyx. I'm the fire starter. Who's the fire starter? You're the fire starter. I'm the fire starter.
Did you say NXS?
It's not.
No, it's not NXS. Oh God, what is that?
Oingo Boy.
No, it's like that.
There we go. There you go. Ari Shaffir tweets. Maybe we shouldn't bring these up.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
This is. I'm sure Ari's like, hey guys, you could have just stopped it, just celebrating the.
Yeah, get out of this, Ari.
Yeah, we got to get out of
we got to get out of this, Ari. All right, Stephen Hawkins.
But shout out to Ari. I love Ari.
Regardless of that, like it's so. I don't understand how you can how anyone continues to be a public person right now. It's so scary.
The Aretha Franklin.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
I can't.
I mean,
Let's go back to the cabin.
Yeah. We gotta get out.
this podcast is brought to you by Tushy. Tushy is the modern bidet company that washes even the messiest of poops with a better clean than toilet paper. It's nice. Kind of hoses it down like the way they used to make dams, and they do it with a fire hose, and they just knock down dirt, and you see dirt falling. That's what I do. You can tell when it's going to be a tough wipe. And when you have Tushy, you know that it's hosing it down first. And then if you want, which I don't, you can come in with a piece of toilet paper. But I don't. I've been hands-free for a long fucking time.
Your drip dryer?
I'm a drip dryer. I enjoy it, as a matter of fact, especially if I'm going for a jog. Imagine if you got shit on your fingers, right? So you're wearing a wipe. You get shit on your fingers. What do? Just wipe it off with a piece of toilet paper?
Nope.
Fuck no. You wash your hands. That is a job for water. And what's great with Tushy is you can hook it up right to your toilet. It doesn't need additional plumbing. And it's spraying clean, fresh water on your anus. Not bullshit water, not toilet water. It's clean, fresh water on your anus. It's the sleekest toilet design. Oh, wait, they even have a full product to make the restroom, even the best room, including a Tushy ottoman. The sleekest toilet designed to help you poop at 100%. I got to be honest with you. I can't shit without a fucking ottoman now, like a little something to put my feet on.
Oh, really?
I find myself bringing in like phone books. I wish I could wear heels. I bet women shit better than men. Anyway, if you're not using Tushy, it's like you're in the Middle Ages, for Christ's sake. Start washing with the Tushy bidet for a better clean. Go to hellotushy.com/Bertcast to get 10% off plus free shipping. This is a special offer for my listeners at hellotushy.com/Bertcast for 10% off. After you buy and install your Tushy, show it off. Tag us. Tag me too. Tag us at hellotushy on Instagram. That's HELLOTUSHY on Instagram, and show them your shitter. There is big news from my favorite home security company. SimpliSafe just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera. That's right, SimpliSafe, the system that U.S. News and World Report names the best home security system in 2021. Got even better. This brand new outdoor security camera is engineered with all the advanced tech and security features that you want to and need to keep you and your family safe. This whole house is wired with SimpliSafe. It is so nice to know that if I go on the road, anything happens, I can see everything. What's even crazier is we hotwired my old house in SimpliSafe. So my sister Cotty has SimpliSafe on hers, and Leanne kind of fucked it up. And now we're getting each other's, and we're like we've got it in all one big group. The best is, anyway, here's the point. It has an ultra wide 140-degree field of view, so you can watch over your entire yard. It has 1080p HD resolution with an 8 times zoom. That means you can zoom in and see things clearly, like little faces or little license plates in case anything happens, to capture critical evidence. It has a built-in spotlight with color night vision, so you can keep an eye on what's going on in the day. Remember when I did that promo video for Two Bears, One Cave New Year's Eve, and those guys broke into this house?
Yeah.
And I used that video and I posted it, and then I slid me in also. SimpliSafe. To learn more about the exciting new SimpliSafe wireless outdoor security cam, visit simplisafe.com/Bert. What's more, SimpliSafe is celebrating this new camera by offering 20% off your entire new system and your first month of monitoring service free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. Again, that's simplisafe.com/Bert.
I love Ari. I miss him. I'm a terrible friend for not speaking to him for so long.
By the way, let's take this page down, please.
I'm not turning around.
Well, it's some nowadays you get what?
Can I grab a drink?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Whatever you want.
What is
that? Is Caveman Nitro?
Oh
It's fucking awesome.
Oh, it's so delicious.
Yeah, but I will say that this I did season 1. Did I do season 1 of this?
Yeah. Season 1.
I did season 1. It's funny. I did it with Paul Scheer, and I've never met Paul Scheer. Oh, we probably didn't film on the same night.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is the episodes are a jumble, and
Ralphie May was still alive.
Oh man, God.
But it was such a great. It was such a big boost. What year is this? It's 2015.
That's the first TV season in 2015. And it's so funny, like the the way this developed, even like the cheetahs of it all. Like the first season, we'd bring people into the venue and they were like, what the fuck? I'm not performing in a strip club. Are you insane? And then I remember Rory Scovel coming to me whenever we shot him and being like, this is the hottest room in LA, man. And that was like my favorite thing that happened. Was the funny thing about shooting that show is we had this whole setup of tents where people could hang out because there wasn't enough room in the actual place.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And all these people that weren't even on the show, all these comics would just come hang out. It was like the place to be in comedy while we're shooting.
I remember coming down for season 2 just to party. Was I in season 2? I don't think I was.
I don't think you were. But it was.
I just came down to party.
Yeah, and that was like the most rewarding thing is like
was I in season 3? Maybe I did season 3. I did season 3. I came down to party. Was I in that one? I was in that one. And it's so funny is that it was such a fun fucking show and it got great views online and sold tickets.
Well, and it was like, that was the crazy thing is it felt like a club show. People would just like do drop-ins. And I was like, it's a TV show taping, not a club show. And people are coming trying to do drop-ins. And I was like, that was the coolest thing to go from like this like weird, it's a TV show, so it's fake venue at a strip club, which was when we began a pretty bad idea. And then it was like just a fun place to perform. And that's not easy to do. And it was a lot of Ari and Eric and everyone being so specific about how to set the place up. Man, it was
I remember Louis Anderson did his, and then he was like, I didn't like that. Can I come back tomorrow and tell it again? And everyone was like, sure, this is a TV show, but sure, whatever you want. It was such a loose feel where you could just do and just come down to hang and party. And I did that every season. I went down and party, and then Ari would do things like, and this is what's great about his brain. He was like, as a thank you gift to everyone, I'm giving everyone an ounce of mushrooms. And
that was
like,
the best thing. It's one of the best things. He's a legend in this town to this day in the world of crew because he went around and handed an eighth to everybody who worked on the show.
The liability there, which leads me to the cabin. I remember getting the phone calls for our rap party because a PA on a different show was leaving a rap party and gotten an accident, and they had been drinking. And remember, that's why we couldn't bring the fat fucking weed stogie. Your managers called me and said, Matthew, you cannot bring that to the rap party.
Yeah.
And then we had to get everyone Ubers. It like changed the game on rap parties.
I forgot about
because that PA, I think like a couple weeks before ours, I don't know if he died, but PA got in a bad accident leaving a rap party that had been drinking.
Yeah. And cut to 4 years before that, Ari's handing out an eighth of mushrooms to everyone in the crew going, thank you for working with me. He gave me a quarter ounce of mushrooms and said, these are for you and Leanne. Enjoy them. And I went, we don't need mushrooms. And he was like, you should eat them in your backyard. Take the full dose.
Honestly, like him introducing me to mushrooms was a big shift in my life. It calmed me down. It's such an anxious person. And I was like, what is this?
I sent out a text saying, because I'm really interested in doing mushrooms again. Because I saw this thing. I had this weird thing when I got surgery just about anxiety and fear of death that I was like, well, this isn't how you're supposed to live your life. And I get the surgery, I come home and I watch this fantastic Fungi? The movie.
Oh yeah, it's
with
great.
Paul Stamets, and I've tried to get him on my podcast. I want to talk to him about it.
I would love that,
dude. Well, you're open invite. If he shows up, you can come. And
obsessed with the guy.
And I put out like, does anyone know where I can get mushrooms? And like that next morning, I get a text from, are you being serious about mushrooms? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, can you drive? And I was like, yeah. And he sends me an address, and he goes, never mind. Are you okay to fall down? And I went, no. And he went, then I can't get him for you.
That's such an Ari conversation. That's the best impression.
I was like, well, I don't, yeah. And Ari's I wish it was easy to explain his personality to people. I wish it was like, because it's really difficult to explain that a guy would come to your house and drug you, and then you would still love him.
Well, he's one of the sweetest human beings.
He's the sweetest guy,
and his persona is so the opposite of that,
and one of the funniest.
And by the way, that's the other thing is that he's got a persona as a mean, fucking snarky, but it's so not who he is, and he really is this genuinely sweet. I mean, very sweet person.
Yeah,
who's very sensitive and thinks about other people first often, and
always.
And
his whole ethos is built around protecting other people and other people that went through the struggle that he went through to be a performer. And it's so, I mean, I remember listening to his was that your podcast where he talks about the 10 years and the store?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to him about it. I've listened to him. He did a great podcast by himself one time where he talked about his getting past at the store and what.
That's what I'm talking about. It was his
solo,
podcast.
Yeah, solo and his fucking.
That thing made me weep. It's the story I think every, not just comic, but every performer, every actor, everyone trying to get into this world should listen to, because not only is it so hard and such a struggle with your own ego and your own sense of self-worth, but then finally earning that place as a paid regular, it applies to everyone. Like once you earn it, it's so rewarding. But it is
the validation.
But you see other people going through it, and you remember, and you're like, oh my god, this is brutal.
Yeah.
And he's so dedicated to like protecting people that have been through that, and that was a big part.
We tried to think of a segment we could do with him on The Cabin. Remember, we were like,
wasn't allowed on the
they no one.
I don't
would
think
allow
they
it.
were.
No
Yeah,
one
I don't
would allow
think they
it.
were.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would love. We should talk a little bit. Well, then let's just track it since we're doing this.
Yeah.
So then you get done doing this. And then when do you guys start? When was the impetus of you guys working together? And
It was
the
Rory
trajectory
Scovel.
of that.
It was with Bill Block and
we made this.
what was it called?
Good at Life. We made this pilot for TBS.
Yeah.
Well, we made it independently, and then TBS bought it. It didn't go to
Perfectly
series.
flawed.
It was originally perfectly flawed, written by Dave Cole, who's a good friend of ours and just one of the best people on earth. And
Amazing script.
yeah, and it was this is like a heartbreaking story about this guy who's like a mess and had broken up with his girlfriend but was still in love with her. They're both still in love and kind of couldn't get out of each other's orbit. And Rory played the lead, and we
Steve Berg, Gareth Reynolds, Megan Ferguson,
Jesus.
Greta Lee.
Mike O'Connell is in it.
Oh, really?
I'm going to
Michael
send it to you.
O'Connell
I think you would really be
It's
into it.
great.
O'Connell's funny
It's
as fuck.
oh my god, I love him. And he sings some songs in it which are just so ridiculous and heartbreaking. I mean,
But Bill Block funded it.
Yeah, Bill Block funded it. So I was on it, and I was looking for, because we had to make it extremely cheap, and so I asked around to a few people.
Who's a cheap whore?
Well, I need like a young, hungry, like passionate line producer, and I talked to Vicky Prieto, who was at Comedy Central at the time.
Yeah,
and I was like, I want somebody who's like fired up about doing something like this, and she sent me a few names, and I met.
We met for coffee at Tiato below Lionsgate.
Yeah.
I was Vicky and I was doing some consulting producing on the last season of Key and Peele, and Vicky was on that, who was one of our execs on The Cabin, which is funny how full circle it all comes.
And then she's now at Netflix and was one of our execs on Cabin.
Yeah,
She's
so
one
funny
of the
when you
best.
said her name. I was like,
gigs.
wait, hold on.
But so Jeff and I met
That's
for
how we
coffee.
met.
Oh, for
and
real?
Yeah.
And it just, I was like, this is my better half. This, like, I feel like we just kind of
Yeah, it was just, we just had fun, and then I was like, I'd never worked with a line producer who wasn't freaked out all the goddamn time, who was just like calling me and the sky is falling every 5 minutes. And honestly, on that shoot, I was like, what the hell's happening? Like I didn't know if I was going to show up and we're not going to have a location or cameras, because I was like, there's no way that this could be working. There's no way we can afford any of what I asked for. And he never said no to me. He just fixed everything. And I'd never seen someone sort of like just make everyone involved so happy, even when the pay sucked and the situation was difficult. But yeah, and it was just a loveliest experience making that show. It was
so much fun.
It was so fun, and no one was worried, and we just got to do fun, creative stuff, and that's how we met, and then we made a few other things together. And
then it just kind of snowballed, and then UTA, I think Susie Fox was like, you guys need to just start your own thing. And that's how Rotten Science, we were like, oh, okay, stop working for all these other people, do your own thing. And and then we started Rotten Science.
Yeah, and then I had done Tag with Todd Garner, and he brought The Cabin.
That's
how The Cabin
came.
Yeah,
that was I think a lot of people have a misconstrued idea of how the show came about. I know I've talked to people who have I've talked to people who've accused me of things that I am beyond fucking fuddled by. But it was Todd Garner. It was Todd Garner. We went in to pitch the machine to Todd Garner.
Yeah.
And Todd Garner said I got a French series I think you'd be great at. And I was like, well, French series? Like, I'm fucking
what was it called? It was called Le
Cabon.
Le Cabon. Yeah, I can't even remember the French series. No.
He goes, let me just, and the whole pitch was around me and Bill Burr. Because he showed me a cut, and it was like this one, I wish I knew the guy's name, this guy in French Canada.
Yeah, it was Montreal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a comedian, and he would invite his friends that were comedians up to his cabin, and then they'd always run into a celebrity or something crazy would happen.
Yeah,
and things would go off the rails.
Yeah, they had a plan to do something simple like go fishing or go on a hike, and then it would just get derailed by whoever was there.
It had run for like 6 seasons, first of all, so there was a huge database of just episodes that we were not supposed to have anything similar to.
Yeah.
When we were licensing it. But so it ran for 6 seasons, but it was also a scripted show.
It was a scripted show. And so Todd and I and Judy sat at a table in Todd's office and howled laughing at potential episodes.
Yeah.
The first one was me and Bill Burr go dynamite fishing in a lake. And what happens is,
I remember,
Bill comes up. I think this was the pitch that sold it, because Bill comes up to go fishing in my cabin. We go to get bait, and when we get to the bait shop, they're big fans of Bill's, and they lose their shit. What we don't know is they're an alt-right militia, and that they take us out back and they introduce us. They show us how to make bombs, and Bill's fascinated. Dude, bro, I've always wondered how to make a pipe bomb. And they're like, no. And so Bill's like, why don't we just go dynamite fishing? It totally works. So we end up going dynamite fishing on the lake. And that was one pitch. Another pitch was me and Tom have gay sex. We get up to the cabin.
I don't remember that. I thought you were going, oh, yeah.
I think we ended up, Tom and I had gay sex. Rogan hunts me. Rogan hunts me.
I remember Rogan hunting you.
Rogan comes up and he's just thinks I'm weak, and we wake up one morning and all our goods and everything's gone, and Rogan's in the woods and he's tracking and hunting us. I wish I had all the pitches, because we went in. Todd told it to me, and we were howling laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd is one of those guys that, like I said, he's a great coach. He brings you in, he gets you excited about the project, and another great coach is he doesn't let shit fuck it up. He just goes, no. Like, and it's a Zen Buddhist way of making producers, really great producers. And I've worked with a bunch, but the two I can think of are my producer over at Legendary Kale and Todd Garner for The Cabin. Yeah. And they're the two guys that I look at like big brothers, and I think I might be older than both of them, but I look at as big brothers because they taught me so much about producing and so much of producing. I remember Todd being like, who gives a fuck? Let's go. Let's move it forward, man. Let's move it forward. Let's get it sold. Then we'll figure it out.
That's the thing about
it. It's like fucking, like, don't get in your own way.
Yeah.
That's Todd's whole thing, and that is my profession, is to get in my own way and get in my own head. And we were, before I did Tag, before we did Cabin, I had met him to do this other movie that he just just finished shooting, I think, in Atlanta, called Senior Year. Yeah, and we almost came to blows. We I walked out on him basically and left the movie like a child, and I'm embarrassed to say it. And God bless him, because then he came back to me with Tag, and then we fell in love. And I didn't understand this about him, but he is this juggernaut of positivity, and he really is. He really taught me not to sweat the small stuff. Like just trust like things are going to change.
Yeah.
And you can't get pissed about this one little creative thing right now.
It's a little bit of blind faith.
You're not going to even remember. Yeah.
And you can get
and I have
worked
so
up.
much trouble with that. And
You can get worked up on the littlest detail because you can, if a network is upset with ... it can get in your head and you're like, what if they fucking pull and Todd's just one of those guys with his puka bead necklace, just like, hey man, hey, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, we start shooting in a week. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Let's get ready to start shooting.
I can't say enough about he's such a mentor to me, and he's the opposite of me in so many ways. He's like a father figure to me.
Well, he's very him and I say Kale because I just left working with Kale.
Yeah,
they're very similar to me. Also, like I'm very similar to both of them, and they pointed out to me, and both of them very wisely pointed out to me, don't change who you are for this. Like, we hired you because you are who you are. All the shit you think you may need to change about you because Hollywood want to change it, please don't do that.
Well, that's a really difficult lesson and a constant problem in making anything is that there are so many details that you're in love with as a creative person that shift and change, and you take it so personally. You're like hurt when that joke someone hates and you have to take it out or whatever. And it's so easy to blow up a whole movie or TV show if you start fighting those little battles.
Yeah.
And there's no point in it because you got so much other stuff that's great in what you're doing, and probably those things survive or they come back. It's such an evolving process, and having a guy like Todd who is just remember the core of what we're doing. That's what's important.
You can blow up. That is, if there's any comics that are like fucking 30 years old and you're like, I'll never make anything, and maybe you get an opportunity to make something. That is the biggest lesson. You can blow up a whole project being too precious with your fucking shit.
Yeah.
And I hardcore, it's a great lesson to go like, hey man, everyone's working very hard on this. You're not the only one. Everyone's working very hard on this. And let that collective energy, it's like I kind of think of making a project as being in a life raft and trying to kick your way to shore.
Yeah.
And if you have someone who's insistent on kicking, but there's not enough room behind the boat, all of a sudden you're fucking up the process.
Yeah.
So let everyone kick behind the boat. Don't be the guy going, I can kick too. And you go, yeah, but you're going to have to kick from the front, and that's going to slow down the boat. And Todd's a great person that looking at that person going, you are possibly the best kicker, and I want to save your legs, okay? But I want you to know that when I call you in to kick, I want you to kick hard as fuck. And I would be like, for real? You'd be like, yeah. But I'll tell you when to kick, okay? And then all of a sudden, he'd be like, all right, get back and kick. And no one's behind the boat. I'm like, all right, I'm doing good. Like that. And that is really important, is to pick your battles and have fun and make sure it's an enjoyable process. It should be a blast. And the cabin was a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the funnest fucking show.
I was nervous as we were getting closer to the shoot date because we were locked into those shoot dates.
The whole thing was crazy.
Hold on.
It was fucking insane. But what I will say,
so what are you were getting nervous? Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, look.
but what I will say, not a
good segue into
not a lot of
insanity that was our lives for a very short
I love
period
you
of
so
time.
much more coming out of it because not a lot of people could have done what you did.
Oh, thank you.
That's the thing.
Don't try to make this a compliment now. We're talking about how insane this is.
I'm telling you, it would have crashed and burned if it was someone else. I say that. Even you coming into the writer's room, all of those.
So close.
It's arguable whether we didn't crash and burn and then just put up some water.
Oh, there were definitely some crashes, but it was not a lot could have pulled that off.
Well, let's talk about like how quick that process was.
Jesus.
So I have a hard time remembering the exact dates. The dates I do remember was
January
Christmas
2nd.
and New Year's Eve. You guys started. I shot my special in November, I think.
Yeah.
I shot my special in November.
Yeah, we went into
production.
Yeah.
We went into. Oh yeah,
that was us.
Oh wait. Oh my god, I totally fucking forgot about that. Holy shit, I totally fucking forgot about that. Oh my god. That is totally right.
Yeah, we were doing that while trying to make this show.
Holy
editing your shooting, editing your special,
editing my special, and then getting into pre-production on the cabin.
Yeah,
and then we December to get ready. I mean, by the way, like I'll tell everything the truth, and if there's something you feel like we need to hide, you just let me know. But
you can edit it out.
We can edit it out, but you post go. I don't know if everyone's comfortable with that, but. The number one thing was we should get some names. Like it's going to really help sell the product if we get some names in there.
I forgot about this whole process.
And did you forget about, hang on one second. Andrew, do you have the video that we sent to the celebrities?
Oh my gosh. Also, thing to remember, you just mentioned December. I don't know if any, for the people who are not in Hollywood.
Grab it. Will you send it to Halston so we can play it up on the thing?
For the people who are not in Hollywood or in the business, Hollywood shuts down for November, Thanksgiving through Christmas, after New Year's. Agents and lawyers are not in their office.
Did you see the Sarah Schaefer thing about getting a TV show?
Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I said
Twitter.
it to you. Oh God, she goes through this like instructional process of how you get a TV show made. And
it's on Twitter?
Yeah.
Pull it up. Can you pull it up?
It's
It's incredible.
Fucking funny. It's long, but that's sort of the point where she's like, then you wait for someone to come back from vacation and tell you everything needs to change. And then you wait for someone else.
That was our biggest hurdle though. No lawyers or agents were in the office when we were trying to cast this thing. They were all on holiday.
Well, I mean, even my friends, like, things would change. Bill was, by the way, committed to the cabin. He was doing an episode for us, and then all of a sudden he booked The Mandalorian, and he was like, "I'm doing The Mandalorian."
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and no one could be like,
"Fucking Star Wars."
Yeah. You were like, "Yeah, congrats."
That was a horrible. that was a horrible choice on his part, obviously.
Yeah. and then Segura committed, Joey committed, Pat committed, but we wanted like big. We needed, and I would argue that we personally didn't need big names because I don't know.
Oh yeah, this was the whole struggle, and I
Netflix wanted.
Well, Netflix wanted
names.
because they knew they're very wisely. They know their algorithm, and they know that if you have Adam Sandler or fucking
Caitlyn
Rob Gronkowski or Caitlyn Jenner or Tom Brady on the cover, everyone's tuning it.
Yeah.
You have a hit. Everyone's guaranteed to make their fucking nut. We're gonna do a second, third, and if you get those names, the next season you get a ton of bigger names. And so,
but that was like the struggle. It was like kind of to be authentic to you and your friend group, but then suddenly have these strangers in the mix who and how that would work and who those people were, and would they be game for this, and
would they be comfortable with our sensibilities, and so the real struggle for us was, once again, this was a scripted show.
Yeah.
And so we have Mike we have a writing team of like 4 people.
Yeah.
Mike Gibbons is running it, and he's got his final draft open, ready to start typing every morning, and he keeps looking at the board going, so who's our cast? And then we're like, well, maybe we'll just write broad strokes for this cast that we have yet to cast.
Yeah, we had to change. We basically had to change the whole show in the writers' room. God, poor Mike and the writers, because it was just, you were chasing this target the whole time. We went in to kind of make this hybrid scripted and talk show kind of, and then we didn't know who was going to be in it the whole time, so we just had to create a vague sense of what might happen each day.
Yeah, and so we put a bunch of. We ended up. I mean, and it took a minute to figure. I think for us to figure out why I was going to the cabin, like what the purpose of these activities were going to be, how they fell into it, and we came up with mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, and soul.
We came up with a forced intervention, and
well, that's sort of where it started, though. We came back to that.
Yeah, it came back to that.
Because that was a true story with you and Leanne, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I get convoluted in the cabin because when we went to initially promote it, a lot of people thought it was a documentary. and which it feels like a documentary.
Yeah, well, I sort of shot it as a joke on the very like heartfelt, earnest documentaries that were coming out on Netflix a lot, which I also love. But I was like, this is the most absurd version.
And people were like, so this is a documentary, and I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, how did you know you were going to get an emu? And I was like, I ordered it. I think I say that in the thing. And they're like, no. And I was like, it was a present. And I was like, and so I got really tripped up in promoting it because some people thought it was scripted. Some people thought it was a documentary. A lot of people didn't know what the show was.
Well,
a lot of people thought
that's how we felt while we were shooting.
Yeah, that's exactly.
A lot of people thought that we had shot it the week before it aired because they're like, oh, so quarantine broke down and you went up in the cabin with your friends. And I was like, we shot it in January. And they're like, how would you have shot that in January? Did you already know about coronavirus? And I was like, it was so hard because I did a radio tour and disc jockeys in like Madison, Wisconsin would say like, so this is why I love you, is you're always working. Coronavirus hits and you call Netflix, you're like, give me a show. And I'm like, all production is shut down. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking. Like, do you think I just shot this last week? And they were like, yeah, you and your boys shot it last week in the cabin. It's amazing. And so just out of curiosity, did you buy the cabin before January, before lockdown, or did you buy it right after lockdown? And I was like, it's not my cabin. And they're like, what? And it was like, it was so tough because I'd never promoted anything other than straight Travel Channel, straight stand up. And then this product comes along and everyone's like, and then the guy's like, so this isn't real? And I go, no, it was real. Like, it's all real, but there was a film crew shooting it. So you know that, you know that we shot it. So like, you know, like at one point everyone broke and had lunch and like everyone had lunch and we'd go and eat lunch. Yeah. And he'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was so weird. That process is so weird because a lot of it was so authentic as it happened. And then we had the format of a scripted show shooting schedule. Yeah. And it was very confusing to everyone that worked on the show because we were built. You know, the funny thing about how you do this when you shoot a show is you build it the way everything's structured, how your crew, who's on your crew, how the days work, all that stuff around scripted or non-scripted. And so we built it around a scripted crew and schedule and all this stuff. And then it evolved, thankfully, but I think that was really good. But like, it was very confusing because we had to like we had like the AD that was ready to like shoot a certain number of pages and scenes. Yeah. And I was like, that's now
I remember getting to the first day of shooting and I sat in the corral where she must have run horses or whatever, kept her animals, where we had the fire pit. Yeah. I walked up with a cup of coffee and I saw like 5 trucks outside, a huge tent, a sound booth, craft services, lunch setup, fucking cameras. And I walked up to Mike Gibbons and I went, this is a little bigger than I thought it was going to be. And he goes, yeah, we're way over our heads. And I go, do we know what we're shooting today? And he goes, Tom Segura is arriving at 8. And I said, and what's the thing? And he goes, well, play it by ear. And I remember like the very first thing we shot was me getting an IV. Yeah. And the guy was so nervous, he kept missing my vein. And
the male nurse.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We just were like, I said something and we were like, just like trying to figure it out. And then you were like, do you want an IV? And I was like, yeah, I definitely want an IV. I fucking got hammered last night. And he's like, can you give him an IV? And the guy goes, am I going to be on camera? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I can give him an IV. And his hands were shaking as he stuck it, and I started bleeding, and then the blood went into the bag. And he goes, I think I'm doing it wrong. And I was like, am I going to die? And he's like, no. And so it's unexplained in the fucking series, but we opened the series of me with an IV bag, and Tom's like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I'm pre-partying. And it was, and then when Tom Segura showed up, and that emu, we opened the thing to the emu, and I said to you, this just so everyone's clear, if you watch The Cabin tonight, you should watch The Cabin tonight and go through and use this as like, write these down and be like, holy shit. When that emu, I opened that emu, I looked at you, both of you, and I said, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's in the show.
Because in the show, I go, I can't do this. Because I was saying to you guys, we had thought Tom would say, what the fuck? And I would have been like, come on, buddy, we're going to do this. And when I open it, and he goes, what the fuck? And I go, oh, no, I can't do this. And I was talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And then Tom just goes, I can definitely do this. And I was like, what? And he goes, I want to do this. And he was like, I need a chainsaw. And everyone's just like, all right, let's go. And when we got through the emu, I think all of us were like, and this is technically our first
day. Everyone
is like, okay, I think we're gonna do this. And from there, everyone started pivoting and going, so if we get these comics together and just let them be themselves and let them experience life and do that, then we're just gonna have a really good time, and we'll make each other laugh and try to make the crew laugh.
Yeah.
And then Joey showed up, and me and Tom didn't speak again for the whole episode.
Well, I think
we cried laughing. This podcast is brought to you by Grunt Style. Let me go rogue, if you will allow me to for a second. I got my Grunt Style panties. I've been waiting for them, okay? I ordered them in Savannah or in Macon. I put the wrong address. It got lost in the mail. It showed up at my house. These Grunt Style panties are the shit. They're exactly what I've been looking for. You run and they're very lightweight, very like almost like satin, right? Like really thin design. They're very high, like up, and they've got the curves right here on your thigh. Mm-hmm. So you're not getting like, it doesn't cinch your thighs when you sit down. I wear them in the pool. I wear them on the treadmill. I wear them in the sauna. It's practically like the best pant. It might be the best jogging short for me that I've ever worn. I bought 2 pairs. I bought mine in XL, and I fit in an XL. I'm like 240, just give you a size range. And I bought a small for my daughter, Georgia, in the American flag. And she fell in love with them. She slept in them the other night. They're like these Grunt Style panties. Here's what's great. Let me tell you more about this company. This is an American veteran owned and operated company that prides itself in patriotic spirit. They've got great shirts, all with great mottos. All their gear is made by a guy who started this company out of the back of his car. And so he started this company. So I think it was just a t-shirt company out of the back of the car. Now they have 400 American. I'm not giving you exact statistics. I'm ballparking it. They have 400 employees. It's a big company. And I'll tell you right now, what's great about this company is these are guys who depend on their gear. They're all ex-military. The guy that started it. And guys in those positions count on their gear. They're only as good as their gear. If their gear fails them, then they fail. And so when you buy clothes from them, you're getting high quality clothes. I am telling you, their t-shirts, awesome. Great for anyone in your family who's got a little bit of a patriotic spirit. But they're these Grunt Style panties. I think they're called Grunt panties. Fucking amazing if you're a man. I mean, like, listen, if you're a guy who needs to wear huge basketball shorts because you're afraid to go in the pool, then maybe they're not for you. But if you're a man who doesn't mind showing a little leg and is cool with his stomach and it's got some guns and some chest on him, and you want to rock your summer like a goddamn alpha male, then these are the fucking pants for you. And by the way, you know what I look like shirtless. Whatever. I love these pants. I can't say enough about these Grunt Style panties. Quality clothing. It's all about attitude. They have to take an American fighting spirit and instill it in everything they do. You don't have to be a veteran to wear Grunt Style. You just have to love freedom, bacon, and whiskey. Who doesn't love a motto like that? Here's the deal. Get an additional 10% off your first order by using my discount code BERT at checkout. Go to gruntstyle.com and use the discount code BERT at checkout for an additional 10% off your first order of any item. That is gruntstyle.com and use the code BERT. Attention gamblers of all shapes and sizes. Our friends at Manscaped have a can't miss bet for you today. The leader in male grooming just launched their 4th generation performance package. The betting odds are that in your favor when you use the Lawnmower 4.0 on your balls. Across the board, this package is going to get you in the mood for whatever your gambling heart desires. Ready to take the leap and make male grooming royalty? 2 million men have already joined. Join Manscaped movement by, look, here's the fucking deal. Man, this groomer is the only thing you can use to shave your balls. You cannot trust any of your other groomers. They've got the skin-safe technology with a ceramic blade. They've got the light on the front so you're lit up. So if you're shaving your balls in the toilet like I do, because that's the only way I don't know what animal shaves them in the middle of their bathroom where the light is. But if you're in the toilet, you can see what you're doing. This is the go-to ball shaving clipper. And I will tell you, go this far. That light is such innovative technology that yes, I even trim my top lip with it. I know. I go ass to mouth. I can't help it.
Why not mouth to ass?
I go ass to mouth. No, because I always trim balls first, and then when I'm done, I'm like, I might as well take it to the face. That's all you need to know. The performance package also includes the weed whacker to chop your worst weeds and in my ears and in my nose. I love their weed whacker. I carry it with me everywhere, and especially because my ears tickle. Because I get hair in my ears that tickle and they drive me fucking nuts. So I use their weed whacker for that. Manscaped even has a bonus add-in on their performance package with their boxers, great fucking boxers, and the Shed travel bag. These tools will get your boys in the comfort zone before the game even starts. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BERT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code BERT at manscaped.com. Fellas, don't gamble on shaving your balls with all the wrong tools. Choose Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
I think like it was really difficult to figure out how to make the show work before and while we're doing it. But I was really inspired by just you and Land and your family's relationship and how warm you guys are.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I wanted to infuse in the show, which I told you all the time, is that story about you in the rice paddies in Vietnam on a motorcycle. And there was something that at the core of the show was the only thing important to me. And it's hard when we're working on the structure of a scripted show. The whole crew is like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, we just have to flow through this because the core of the show is about a guy who, caught between like being a really great dad with his like wife who's wonderful and these two daughters who are wonderful, and also being like a guy that just loves to fucking go nuts and be party guy with his friends and just laugh his ass off. And that's all that, like, it was hard to just do that on the fly, but
yeah. Well, but that was when it got good. And I don't want to show our cards too much, but anytime a FaceTime call came in and everyone was just like, just start rolling. And we catch a FaceTime call, like with my dad and Caitlyn or with Leanne or with the girls that we were like, we just grab and steal. Then all of a sudden there was this connective tissue of like why I'm there, like talking to my dad about. I mean, there's so much, and there's a lot of these FaceTime calls that we left that are not in the show. Yeah. But they were just super authentic, and it was great. But I think it was the malleability of everyone, like you were saying, not getting too precious with it and letting it be what it could be. And Netflix, Ben KV, everyone over at Netflix coming over and going like, do more, go harder.
They really pushed us in the right direction. And Ben really pushed hard, but I think that sense of authenticity was frightening on the days, but really paid off. I mean, because we had to structure in a certain way where there were like gags and activities, and kind of that plotty stuff. But those moments like Caitlyn saying, "When did you know that you were a boy?" And you talking to your dad and getting emotional and
I almost killed her with an axe.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, throw these between my legs. And I threw it and went up in the air and landed by her foot. And we were like, ooh.
Yeah, you did the backwards throw and it just went towards it.
By the way.
But those little moments were great. And like Bobby and Donnell talking, and Bobby being really honest about being having the struggle with his father and trying to like work through comedy being his shield his entire life. And, those things that's what I was hoping for the whole time. And it was difficult to express that to everyone involved. Like, hey, let's just like settle, we get everyone fired up with these activities and let's settle into conversations that are really real because of you and your perspective. But it's a flip of a coin kind of on a day to make that happen. We had to figure out how to structure the day so you could kind of get to know everybody as a group. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
And you made that great adjustment. Like, we need to sit and have the conversation first thing because we're going into these activities and everyone's doing bits as opposed to just being genuine because they don't really know they're trying to be funny, which is their job. And they don't really know that the show is more about like how this group of people functions together and what those uniting forces are and what the struggles are to talk about.
But by the way, do you think Sweets made it through quarantine?
Ooh, it's a really good question. That might be the hardest I've ever laughed.
You guys fucked this up.
When I go, he goes, "You guys fucked this up," and I go, "Sweets, how did you get your name?" And he goes, "Well, you know." And we go, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm sweet on the ladies." And Joey Diaz goes, "Oh, right." They don't call you sweets. You don't call you sweets because you're diabetic.
His entrance was like half an hour walking from the gate.
The funniest. And by the way, that's the other part is like, I didn't know how to defend that. It often was like a documentary. It often was cameras just rolling. Do you remember when Nikki Glaser rolls in and she waxes my asshole and then comes into the kitchen and she goes, "We are moving really fast." And I go, "Well, don't worry, things should slow down." And by the way, cameras are on, but like people are in the shot, like we're there. And she goes, "I don't know if we use this or not." But she goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, Caitlyn Jenner's coming up." And she goes, "I don't want to be here." And I went, "What?" And she goes, "I don't want to be here." Oh my God. I can't be around Caitlyn Jenner. And I said, "You were on the roast with her." She goes, "I know, but the next day I went on Stern and I told all the jokes we weren't allowed to tell on the roast." And I went, "Are you serious?" And she goes, "All the ones that would mean Caitlyn would walk off, I went on Stern and told, and I am certain she heard them, and I need to get the fuck out of here." And we were like, so there was like this, there was like this, and it's so hard to, you know, and I think we did the right thing by just going, just watch it, enjoy it. If you like it, you like it, share it with people. And I know that it was like trending on Netflix. It was the number one.
It was the number one for a few weeks, I think.
And so we did a good job promoting it, but it's so fun to talk about now because there were these moments like where we'd plan something like the spiritual cleansing of the crystals, and just the unpredictable would take over, and Joey Diaz would just start talking to this young girl about what he likes to do to his wife. "I like to tie her up and spit on her fucking feet. You know, the kind of bitch that suck your dick behind a Jack in the Box. Now you take her over to fucking Morton's and she won't even suck your dick at home in bed. Come on, you know what I mean."
Well, the funny thing is, like, I remember watching that happen. I was like, "Oh my God, Joey, no." But she thought it was so
She was laughing so hard. And Tom and I were crying, laughing. And then Joey just comes. And then that was the mega joint night where I was trying to jump with the axe.
That was bad.
And I had gotten so
with that
fucking
giant
high.
knife.
With that giant knife.
Giant knife.
You were throwing
You're
it
trying
at
to- you're trying to get it in the tree.
There was like an orange tree or
I was so fucking high. And you know what's crazy is that night, Georgia had just got her learner's permit. And I left the cabin at like 9 at night, 8 at night. It was dark. I get home and Georgia and I are at the front door. We rolled those half-ounce joints and we smoked all of it. Joey smoked a misdemeanor's worth. Tom and I smoked like enough. I got home and they're like, "Georgia wants to go driving." And I was like, "What?" And I had our props guy would fill me up. He had a traveler for me.
He'd give you a to-go.
He'd give me a to-go in a thermos of wine, and I was sipping on my ride home. And I got home, I got my thermos, and I remember I tried to write a joke about this because I was so high. We get in the car, Georgia's first time driving a car. First time. I get in the back of the car, and she goes, "Okay, what do I do first?" And I go, "Turn on some music." And Leanne's like, "No." And I was like,
"Did Leanne know that you were so faded at that
no,
point?"
she had no clue. She had no clue. She had no clue.
Know now?
She goes,
she's about to know.
She goes, and then she goes, "Hold on." I'm in the back with Isla, and Isla keeps going, "Hey, we got to like throw some like some obstacles her way. Like we got to trick her, Dad. Like make sure she's ready to drive." And I'm so high, I'm like, "Good call, Isla. Good call."
Poor Georgia.
I remember Isla goes, "Roll down the back window to give her the old wubba wubba." And then Georgia goes, it was such a shit show that I was like, "Turn on music." And then I was like, and Leanne's like, "Check your mirrors." And I was like, "Yeah, check your mirrors." And then she backs out and Isla goes, "Bang a Louie." And we're like, "What the fuck? Who are you talking to, Chewbacca?" Like, it's her first time driving.
So funny.
So funny. And then this person got up on Georgia's tail, and Isla goes, "Georgia, you got a tail, punch it." And Georgia punches it, and my wine spilled, and I go, "Motherfucker." And Leanne goes, "What?" And Isla goes, Daddy spilled his wine. And Leanne goes, you're drinking? And I was like, I've been drinking the whole fucking night. Like, I'm fucking wasted. We did a block and came home, and it was like a shit show. And then the next day I show up at work. You're like, how was your night? And I was like, not bad. Hey, Miss Pat's here. Let's get naked.
Dude, Miss Pat and Kaylee.
I don't know.
Can we
I
talk
don't know
about
how
that?
you could be a
Yeah.
dad at night during that shoot. It was so exhausting. We beat the living hell
We
out
should
of
have put you in a hotel up there.
That would have been a better idea. Instead, I'm driving 45 minutes back and forth. But it was those drives in were fun. It was a beautiful drive into the hills. But and then that next night was Kaylee and Pat and Joel McHale. And it's so funny because, and I've been approached by numerous Hollywood types who've let me know that I owed Kaylee a big apology.
Yeah.
That I didn't serve her right by the show. And at the time I was like, what? And I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention to it. And then all of a sudden, as time passes, you're like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to, no one wants to go on a show, possibly be treated like shit by the guests and the host not stand up for them. And then just never hear from them again. And so I feel bad for Kaylee. And I've talked to Miss Pat about this. And Miss Pat and I have talked about this a number of times, but it was such a night and day group of people of like me and Pat who are road comics, and then Joel and Kaylee who are TV stars, and just the not seeing eye to eye on almost anything. And it was and then we started drinking whiskey.
Yeah, that was the real
that's
problem.
where
We started just
went to the next level.
gave everyone so much whiskey.
Oh my God.
Dude, that guy was doing big pours. Those were not little pours.
That guy was
big
gorgeous
pours.
too, with his braids and his cowboy hat.
His cowboy hat.
I remember he just appeared out of nowhere, and everyone was
Dana Gould hit
Who's
me
this
up. And he's
man?
like, "You're drinking my girlfriend's whiskey," and I was like, "What?" By the way, Dana Gould sent me a bottle of that whiskey because he's like, "You liked it," and he just dropped off a bunch of bottles of it.
Can you smoke in here?
Yeah, you can smoke.
you
Yeah,
sure?
I don't give a fuck. Yeah, and so he it was really fascinating to watch that breakdown, and you guys are probably more privy to like how people were feeling. 'Cause I was in the moment.
Well, I mean, honestly,
I was worried a little bit.
honestly, we fucked up. We didn't. I mean, because we didn't know what the show really was.
Yeah.
Kaylee
Also,
and everyone.
crack a door. I might let
I
us-
won't smoke.
You sure? What are you smoking? Weed? Oh, you can definitely smoke weed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah, 100% smoke weed. No one gives a fuck if you smoke weed.
Okay.
Yeah. God damn it.
Well, this brings back, it triggers certain things when we start talking about the things
Yeah, he's
that really made me sweat on the
Should we
show.
light one of
Hold on,
these?
I want you to open this. This was
I wish I had
because
two fucking hands.
Bert, let me talk about this.
What happened to your arm?
I'm an action star now.
It's from the movie.
What happened was that joint that we couldn't bring to the rap party.
Oh yeah.
It was sitting in my car,
Fucking cigars.
and I wanted to bring it to you, and then I ended up
great.
smoking it with friends, and I felt terrible.
Oh, you shouldn't feel
I
terrible.
felt terrible.
What, the mega joint?
The mega joint,
Oh,
and
of
we
course
got
you landed with that
so
thing.
fucking high. and then I felt bad because I was like, "This was a pound of weed. I owe Bert a pound of weed."
Here, why don't we light an El Blunto?
Do it. Well, yeah, I'll
This
do
is
it.
An El Blunto.
What is it?
Oh my! Oh,
What's that?
So El Blunto was nice enough to send me a humidor, personalized.
Oh, that's a
this
nice
is
one.
a baby El Blunto because I think everything else is infused and they may get you fucking crazy. Can you read this? Does this just say just El Blunto?
El Blunto, melty ice water hash infused.
Okay, let's get away from this one.
I'll take that one.
Okay, here.
I'll smoke a regular cigar because I have other things to do today, and I will die. I'm a very delicate flower. I can't deal with.
Here, you want one of these? What time's our next podcast at? You know? Oh, perfect.
Is that decent?
What? Yes.
That's the
this is a
question
fantastic.
right there.
So this is a very fantastic cigar. Padron is my favorite cigar. This Padron was a limited edition they did that I got a box of, and it was like my favorite smoke in the world.
Okay. The guy talked it up, and I was like, I have no idea.
Does
I
this
don't
say
know
infused?
anything about
Does this say
cigars.
infused?
It looks infused.
Everything looks infused. Fucking El Bluntos, everything's infused.
No, but it says highest potency.
Hold on, is there a bathroom
Yeah,
nearby?
yeah,
Because
go to the
that
bathroom
cold
right there.
brew is power.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Highest potency. I wonder if El Blunto could just pump the brakes a titch. I can't see anything. How's that?
This is great, but do you have another lighter? I think mine's...
I don't have another. I do actually. I do. Oh.
Oh, I'll take that. Andrew, one of those is yours too.
Oh, awesome. Thanks,
I got 4. I got 4 of them.
buddy. Yeah, also I was thinking the same thing.
I know.
Because that's all right. Can out a little bit. Pull out a little bit.
Also, I've got tea time at 5 o'clock. Roosevelt, you got to get out there with me.
Yeah,
I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
I'm getting clubs that actually fit me. That's like my. That's my
Do you have the shorties right now?
project. I just have, I have like played. I've been.
Bert, is this Bert's clubs?
Oh, dude.
You play golf?
Yeah, Bert's. Bert can whack it.
Yeah.
Bert's PX.
Oh, you gotta love that smell.
Oh.
God damn it.
You drinking beer? Bert.
Yeah, this is my second.
There's 3.
Is it?
If I'm coming on the
What?
fucking,
These are
if I'm
3
lucky
selects
enough to
up
come
here.
on the Bertcast, I'm having a beer.
I might as well have
and
a beer
I'm smoking some
too.
weed.
Is there a beer in there?
It's Friday.
It's Friday. I leave on Sunday.
You look like Don Julio right now. These are pretty, like they have a glass tip. This is, am I smoking crack?
You still rolling, Halston? El Blunto? Oh, do we have another one of those IPAs?
The IPAs are delicious.
We
Stone-
have them inside. Can
Yeah,
you
yeah,
grab
no,
them
no,
from
no,
the
no, no.
inside fridge?
They're in there. They're just in the. They're in the
Yeah,
back.
I'll take one of those.
They're in the back.
So these El Bluntos are fucking phenomenal, man.
Yeah,
And
these
I
are
really
delicious.
enjoy them. And I guess I've been smoking infused marijuana without knowing it. But they're just very high end, very enjoyable. Can I tell you how I believe a blunt should be smoked? And this was taught to me by Snoop Dogg. He said, take your time with it. Enjoy it. If it goes out, let it go out. Continue the conversation. Light it up again. It's an evening. It's an evening.
Yeah.
I sucked down one in a hotel room one time and had a panic attack.
Oh, no.
And because I was like, I just felt bad not, like there's a panic when you got a joint to make sure you keep
When
it burning.
Cross that line.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh.
Do you want a cigar, Jeff?
Yeah.
Here, grab one right there. I just had the fucking cutter.
Also,
Did I leave the cutter in the other fucking room?
the infused kill COVID, by the way.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where did you get that from? So, but I'm curious to hear, by the way, how that mega joint, that was the first time I'd seen one of those.
It was not.
That was insane.
It fucked me up.
When you guys started smoking that, I thought maybe.
You know who I smoked it with? Soda. Our Bert, you remember Soda? Key grip
Yeah.
on cap.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
remember.
smoked
I
it.
remember. I think soda. It's a secret time. I think the night we had the big one floating around. I remember a couple guys they were saying not to pass it because I think they were talking about COVID, and we're like, "Fucking COVID, it's a joint. We're gonna be fine." And the COVID's not real, guys. Oh, come on. And then we ended up smoking. We ended up smoking that joint, and he came up and hit it like he was joining a reggae band. Like,
Soda is one of my favorite people. He is an incredible human being.
Oh, he's one of my favorite guys on
let me
earth.
see the lighter real quick. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. So let's talk about, since we have a cocktail on us. I'd like to take this moment
Yes.
to apologize to Kaylee Cuoco.
I think we all should.
We all.
I think we all should. And I hope, can everyone grab this clip and send this to Kaylee Cuoco? Kaylee, I'll tell you, I really genuinely fucked up. And I fucked up because I brought you on my show. And I don't think I was aware of any of this at the time. I'm not defending my actions. I brought you on my show and I didn't properly take care of you or make you feel like you were taken care of or allow you to have a voice at times. And I should have. And I should have stood up for you in times. The way I stood up for Pat, I should have done the exact same thing for you. I did it too much with Pat because I've known Pat my whole adult career. And in my opinion at the time, I wanted to make sure her opinion got out. That was incorrect to me. I should have made sure that your opinion got out. And I should have made sure that you knew you would be represented fairly in this show, which she was. She ultimately, no, she wasn't. I don't know if she was or she wasn't.
I mean,
it's like out of all the things we said that day, there's a lot that wasn't in, which I'm very grateful
here's the thing.
for.
Kaylee is one of the coolest.
She's one of the coolest
ever.
chicks.
Yeah.
She was so
She's
kind
so
to come and do
funny.
the show, and I did not take care of her. And I'll tell you the other big fucking thing I did wrong is I allowed it to become gossip when I would go and do press. Is people were like, "What's up with Kaylee Cuoco and Miss Pat?" And I was like, "I know, right?" And I would just feed into it as opposed to going like, "Hold on, Kaylee's the coolest fucking chick. I'm very great." What I should have said. This is what I should have said. Kaylee's the coolest fucking chick. I'm really grateful that she did this show. It was a big fucking ask. She's a huge television star, movie star.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky to have her. And I did wrong by her. I should have said that. That's what I should have said.
Yeah, I really love that woman. I think she's wonderful.
Yeah.
And the shit she's doing is so good. And my perspective as that was happening was it was so interesting to hear from her and Pat, and it was so funny. And I think it's really funny in this show. And I hope I don't know. It's difficult having gone through it, but like it felt like a great, interesting, it was important conversation.
It was an interesting, important conversation that I thought.
But I think
both grown-ups, you should be able to do it. But what I was doing was I was making sure Pat was taken care of, which was not fair. I should have made sure Kaylee was as taken care of, and I thought at times I was doing that. But there's a weird thing when you know someone's so. This sounds horrible, but when you know someone's so rich and so successful that you go, and then you look at Pat and you go, I know what she makes at clubs. I know she's struggling to get this project that she's had with Lee Daniels for like 3 years to get off the ground. And I think I just look for I feel like my friend in that moment is the underdog, and I want to help her get her voice out. And some of the stuff was super volatile about like animal rights and Michael Vick, and which I don't think we kept in, but like, and I know I've when you do comedy, you just have too many diverse friends and you hear too many opinions about redemption and about the legal system and about how they feel like they're consistently getting fucked. And by the way, this is before the, Black Lives Matter summer we experienced. This is before that. That hadn't happened yet. Mm-hmm. And so but still, I think, I don't know. I just have a lot of people that are my friends, that are close to my family, that are people of color, and I've heard their opinions. And that Michael Vick thing came up, and I wasn't really fair to Kaylee.
Also, the booze.
Booze didn't
Pat,
help.
and Kaylee. Joel sober because Joel doesn't drink, but there was a lot of alcohol involved too.
I also think I wasn't really aware of this. Not to say that I'm blameless at all. I should have tracked this while it was happening, but like we're moving so fast shooting that show. I didn't realize that like people are coming in and no fucking clue what they're about to walk into. Yeah. And I'm just like jamming through shooting the show. And in retrospect, I wish I had spent more time and, had everyone just sort of talk about what was going to happen and get to know each other a little bit off camera before we just thrust everyone into the surprise of all of this.
Also, Kaylee did have a hard out that day, if you remember. And
What's the
so
other
her having to leave, unfortunately, we didn't have an exit really. So it was almost kind of even cut together. Like all of a sudden she walked off set. It looked like she walked off set, but that was not the case.
It was not the case. She had a hard out.
She had a hard out and we, I think that was.
Yeah, we tried to come up with like a on the fly
some sort of
joke to make that work, and I think she just vanished.
But I genuinely, I mean, I'll never see Kaylee Cuoco again in my life. I'm certain of that. I'm certain that she doesn't. By the way, she doesn't have to forgive me.
Have you reached out to her at all?
No.
I think you should.
You should.
You should.
All right, I'll call her.
She's cool. She's so cool. Like,
let's see if she answers.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
This is exactly how we got into trouble in the first place.
See, there's a fucking there's a broken
Kaylee,
toy.
you're on camera again.
Here's the problem with me and with what we do is there's a broken toy next to us, right? It's like there's like a fucking we're outside the industry. We're not industry insiders. I remember Joel saying something in that interview, and I love Joel, and I love Kaylee, and I love Miss Pat. But Joel saying something to Miss Pat that he didn't realize what he had said to her, and it was the definition of what made this conversation uncomfortable. She found out, Miss Pat found out that she was on 13 Rules to Date My Teenage Daughter with John Ritter. Remember this? And Miss Pat lost her shit and said, "You met John Ritter." And
Oh, really? I don't remember this.
Oh, yeah. And Kaylee's like, "Yeah, I knew him very well." And Kaylee was like, the 1 second they connect. And then Joel said, "You got to understand, Pat, she was a series regular on a network hit sitcom at the age of 15. She's achieved everyone's goals." And I saw Pat look in her eyes like, "That's not my goals. Like, my goal is not to be like," the way he said it was very industry inside.
Yeah.
And Miss Pat looked at him like, "My goal is to make sure my son doesn't get shot going to the store. My goal is to make sure I can raise my crackhead sister's daughter right. My goal," like Pat's goal set was so different. And I understood what he was saying because I'm enough of a fucking Hollywood fucking cuck to get.
Well, I also think because it was a weird situation, Joel was trying to release the tension and himself.
But it was like,
But that was Joel. It feels like that was more through Joel's eyes. That's what his vision of success versus Miss Pat's. There's just a disconnect.
It would be like if you said to like one of us, like, "You don't understand. He has hair and makeup on call 24 hours a day, and that's a great achievement." And then a hockey player being like, "What?" And so that's where I realized the disconnect was happening. And Pat's like, "What the fuck's a series?"
Yeah, honestly, that's the weird thing about the show is like that conversation, because we only had so much time and then so much time in the cut. It really was like a more fascinating conversation about these different perspectives that we couldn't really honor in the short period of time that we had in the show, or on the shooting
we couldn't
day.
honor it, and
it really,
by the way,
and I think that's a problem. Like that, I think it was the beginning of a much larger conversation. That would have been
I would
so
love that
cool.
conversation to continue. My favorite part of the conversation when they're talking about animal rights, and I just tried to get in the middle of it and stop it.
Well, because I think Kaylee and Pat were like on the verge, or maybe made like this like beautiful connection, because I think they understood each other really well, but we just had to like rush through it, and that's unfortunate, honestly.
But also the amount of stuff that hit the cutting room floor is insane. Do you remember the Bobby Lee entrance?
Oh yeah,
with the little Asian girl.
And see, that's sometimes
things that if we had more time.
Sometimes, and I hope Todd hears this, sometimes your head coach can be totally fucking wrong.
Oh man, I've never seen any of that footage actually.
It looks amazing, and if we had, that's
we
what
did
I'm saying.
like
If we had more time, Netflix was already put.
We shot like a grudge or a grudge or a
grudge,
or the Ring style opening with this adorable kid playing Bobby in the same wardrobe. But
dressed
like
as
horror
a monster,
makeup.
dressed as in horror makeup,
just
and
like
running around the house. We spent a whole fucking half day shooting it. And I remember going, "Is this going to work?" And you guys were like, "Todd's really in love with it." Todd's
I've never seen him so happy in my life,
dude. That was insane. It was, but we were just trying to come up with ways for other entrances into the show outside of just coming through the gate. Like everyone's just kind of showing up, and it's like, okay, how do we have another person show up to this fucking cabin?
I wasn't all on Todd. I was
way?
In love with that too. It was so dumb.
No, it was a great idea. We just didn't have time to incorporate.
I remember blaming Todd because he pitched it to me directly, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, he's not here, so obviously we should blame him for everything."
Blaming Todd.
Also, the whole Kaylee Cuoco thing is clearly Todd's fault.
Oh, by the way, yeah,
that was
Todd should fucking dump on that grenade.
Yeah,
fucking Todd.
Oh man, what was your favorite episode? Shooting.
Okay.
Or guest. And you don't have to name one person, but like guest. What really made it for you? What were you like, wow, this is...
My favorite episode doesn't have my favorite guest in it. My favorite guest is Anthony Anderson.
All right.
My favorite guest was Anthony Anderson.
He was a good dude.
I learned, you can learn a lot in this business from watching the way other people behave, good and bad. I've always looked at bad behavior and said, I can steer away from that. Because I can always choose to not do bad behavior. And I learned from a lot of people what not to do. What you'd see sometimes is people going like, how much longer are we here? And like, how much longer is this going to take? And they come to me, and I always felt guilty. And that's one thing I'll never do. If you hire me to shoot, you've got me for 12 hours. Yeah. I'm never going to ask you to cut me early. Anthony Anderson showed up early. He showed up ready. He brought his own stuff. He brought cigars. He brought, I think, maybe a couple bottles of nice red wine. He
really?
He dressed up for it. Like he dressed himself, and he dressed himself really nicely. And
The funny thing about this conversation,
but like there's times.
Get him. Yes, you should be in this conversation. What's going on with your leg,
How
Leanne?
you doing, babe? Here, Leanne, we need to get you on a mic. You want to sit where Halston? Well, I know, but no one can hear you, and it would be cool to hear what you have to say.
I want.
Talk to you afterwards.
No, I want you on this mic, Leanne. You're a big part of this show. Get in here.
No shit. Here, go stand by Halston's mic real quick, so that we can hear you.
You walked in here.
Yeah.
You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing.
I wanted to say hi.
It's so good to see
Hi,
you,
guys.
Leanne.
Hello.
It's been so long.
I know.
I know.
It really has.
I miss
And
you
what I
guys.
don't think a lot of people understand is that our beginning of our quarantine was spent entirely together, but on Zooms.
Yeah.
Every day, Leanne going through notes. I never looked at one fucking cut. Leanne will watch them and go, here's what you need to see. And I'll be like, okay.
I just started to talk to Leanne instead.
Leanne was so fucking great, but
She was wardrobe. She was art. The FaceTimes.
It was insanity.
Wore a lot of hats.
Leanne
It was
is actually,
insane.
It was
actually the
hats.
secret behind this entire show.
as much
hardly,
as
but
successful as
truly
this
a
show
lot of
was, Leanne definitely earned to celebrate the success in this show because she fucking
Aw.
she with you guys. Once we went into quarantine and we had pickups, she with you guys. I was not you. I don't know. I'm certain you guys have talked about my just kind of bitchy
Unavailability?
behavior. I was because I had OCD about fucking being around people because I didn't know about this fucking Delta or this fucking COVID, and I was I was a mess.
Yeah.
And I was a mess, and Leanne.
Everyone was a
fucking
mess.
bull.
But
this was
it
happening
was
at
like we had to like have iPads delivered and lights.
They'd have to be
to your
wiped
house
down with
Leanne's
Clorox.
like lighting
Yeah.
the kitchen.
It was like Mission Impossible. Like your assignment today will be to open your front door and there'll be a black box. Inside the black box, there are 2 iPads with tripods, with a stand, with a light. And I was like, I can barely turn my iPad on. Like, I don't even know how to turn
I remember
this shit
doing pickups
on.
for my dad and
Getting
my mom
your
and dad.
parents-
My mom and dad were
Oh,
drunk. Do you remember
man.
that?
Yeah,
my
God, that
And
was
they got
man.
drunk and we're like, okay, we're not going to be able to shoot today. 'cause
your
you
dad
guys-
just was like, I'm done with
I
this.
can't fucking. How the fuck does this work? And their audio was on, but their video wasn't on.
And you can
we're
see
just-
his eyebrows, and that's it.
Hey, crank the AC, would you, Andrew?
It's oh my god.
It was, but it was. We were talking about our favorite episodes.
Oh, yeah?
And I said my favorite episode, my favorite cast member that we had, and I loved everyone. I'm grateful for everyone for doing it. Was Anthony Anderson. And I said because I learned so much from him on how he behaved. He showed up. He never complained. He was game for everything. We're going to do beekeeping, and he had the outfit on before anyone. And he was engaged in everything. He wanted to take part in everything. Rolfer shows up. I love Rolfers. I love and he was
making the craziest noises during that Rolfer
Yeah.
session.
Dude,
I
the
have them
Rolfer-
stuck in my head.
I was worried about Dion Cole. Do you remember that
we
when
were all
he
worried about
when he
Deion
started spitting blood on
They're coughing
set?
up blood during
That
Rolfing.
made me very uncomfortable and worried. Just from a.
And did we
oh,
ever figure out
shit.
what that was? It was a cigar, maybe because he was because I think that was it because he didn't know
Honestly,
not to inhale the
but
cigar.
also-
He was
So just-
inhaling the
He was
cigars.
pounding the cigar.
Also, when you get hit in your kidney, you'll pee blood. Things will happen. I think it could have been just if the Rolfer just pushed something that maybe.
that was sketchy when Dion started coughing and spitting up blood, or it's not.
Yeah, that
spitting
wasn't
blood.
fake. That was
wasn't
real.
fake. But Anthony Anderson was such a fucking professional, meaning like top to bottom. Out of all the people we worked with, he looked at everything. Like he was like, "Tell us what we need to do. Tell us what." Like, and I walked away going, "All right, number one, if I ever get to be a guest on someone's show, I'm gonna show up." I was like very cool that he was like he was early and if I remember correctly, Big J was like an hour and a half late. Like Big J showed up.
Was that right?
Out
I
of
don't
bed.
remember.
Big J had no idea what he had signed up for. I told someone this the other day. His beard still had bed beard. It was combed. It was over the
Oh, my
side.
God.
He was sweatpants on that he had slept in.
It's so funny. Like the funny thing about this conversation, I was like locked in a closet with a headset on, talking to cameraman the whole time. So I like didn't know I just was focused on what was happening in front of the cameras.
Jay-
all the stuff that was off camera, I was not aware of.
Jay
missed
was
the
like,
fun.
so what are we doing today? And I was like, I don't know. We'll just go through it. And Jay was fun. He was funny through the whole thing. But I don't think Jay knew what he had signed up for. I think he thought it was a podcast. And,
Yeah.
and so he was like, oh, there's cameras. And And I was like, hey, Jay, it's a pretty big production.
And the first scene you make him do is you laying on the bed.
And he sees me naked.
Well, he also had
Naked.
just flown from doing
He
a
just flown in
cruise
from New York. Yeah.
I think he had been doing a cruise. He basically like wrapped whatever a tour like 5 minutes before he had to get on a flight. Flew in. They dragged him directly from the airport like 5 a.m.
5 a.m. right to the thing. He was like,
And he was
out
like,
of it.
He had no idea where he was like.
Yeah, he wasn't
oh my
late
God.
because he
I've
was
never
out
seen-
partying. He was just like, it was like Big J just was like, but Anthony Anderson was like a fucking baller. Like he was, anytime you said anything, he was like, I love paintball guns. Let's do paintball guns. And he always had a good line. It was like he always had, and he was very open and honest about sharing.
Yeah.
He was the one person I feel like we did this season with, and I was like, we did the episode with, and I was like, I just learned something today. I learned how to, because I'm not always that guy on set. I'm more like Jay. Us comics will be like, we'll show up. I know you can't start the show without me, so we'll show up when we show up, and that's how I am sometimes. And 15 minutes late, still kind of early in my book. And Anthony Anderson was like, no, this is a job. You guys are paying me.
Yeah.
I'm here. I got you. You got me all day. What do you need? I brought cigars. You like cigars? Let's do a cigar segment. I'm into fine wine.
Well, he's really great at like reorienting the conversation, kind of directing from within, which was really great to see someone that has worked that long and can just sit on camera and sort of keep things running.
Yeah.
Just
that
through
picnic
nature of
table
experience.
stuff. Like I said, a lot of stuff hit the cutting room floor, but you guys' conversations, it felt. That's
Dion with those bees, man.
the bees.
Dion
the
was
bees part
terrified
too.
of bees. And by the way, Dion was great. But he was terrified of fucking bees.
I love it. I was like, Dion, I need you to spit on Bert. When we were doing the bees, I made you get stung because I wanted Dion to
suit
yeah.
it,
tobacco
You're
to
like,
tobacco
yeah,
on
yeah,
him.
it would be great if you get stung. And I was like, I don't know. I got the suit on. And Dion was so afraid of bees. I just lifted the suit up and I was like, you have nothing to be afraid of. Look, they're fine. Look, it's not touching me. And then I put my suit on top of the bee and it stung me and I started smacking it and I went, motherfucker. And I really got stung. And then Dion just spit tobacco on me. That episode was surprisingly absolutely hilarious. And I don't think any of us going in thought we were like, I hope this works.
Well, it was another one of our really short days because I think Anthony had to leave early or something. So we had to cram in so much. I think, the funny thing about the show is we had to shoot full episodes of television in a single day, often with like people that are very busy and didn't have the whole day to shoot with us. And it's pretty insane to try to do that.
I like to think I'm a jack of all trades. I feel like I'm kind of good at a couple things in this business. But there's one thing I am not good at, and that is editing video and getting it out on a timely manner. Look, Fiverr, if you're like me and you need people to pick up parts of the project that you can't do by yourself, Fiverr connects you with the best-in-class freelancers with experience in hundreds of digital specialties and every skill imaginable to help you with any project. From data wizards that can turn spreadsheets into insights to voice actors who can bring scripts to life. That I can do. Watch this. I'll read this next part. Fiverr's global network of online freelancers is here to help. Whether you're launching your first business, scaling your current business, or in need of extra support, from graphic design, copyright, maybe I'm not the best, copywriting, marketing, web design, film editing, scoring music, and more, find your talent and begin working on your project within minutes. You find what you're looking for instantly. There's no negotiation. It's easy. You can customize your search by service, deadline, reviewers, sellers, reviewers, and so many more. And there's no guessing games. You pay right up front. You don't have to negotiate last minute. They don't up your price. Pricing is always project-based, not hourly. 24-hour customer service is there to reach out with questions anytime. And these are freelancers who have worked with some of the biggest, most influential brands in the world, and they are ready for you when you are ready. Their platform is flexible enough to accommodate and manage the ebb and flow of any business. Find freelancers with specific skills you need for your next project. Check out Fiverr.com and receive 10% off your first order by using my code BERT. Find all the digital services you need in one place at Fiverr.com. And the code is BERT. Again, that's Fiverr.com, code BERT.
So who was number two?
One of my favorite episodes was Donnell and Bobby.
It's so good.
What about
That's my
you guys?
favorite.
What was your favorite episode?
Donnell and Bobby.
Donnell and Bobby.
It had exactly when I point to an episode that represents this show, I think it's that one. It had the emotional part and then just the comedy in it was.
Yeah.
Well, that was I think unfortunately too late, but that was kind of the lesson of how the show should go. It was not too many people. There was a surprise where they had some unfinished business personally, some beef, but it wasn't so bad that it was going to be uncomfortable. And then they were both just so willing to be honest, and their comfortability with you was so apparent, and it was so silly and so heart-wrenching at times.
And I think there was an arc of Donnell not wanting to participate and then ultimately participating, which made me feel like a goal was accomplished. Like there was a closure at the end. And the other thing that was amazing about that episode is the creator of the show showed up.
Oh, was he there that day?
Yeah, he was there that day.
He came in from Canada. He came from the airport.
And he came from the
right.
airport and he showed up and you were like, I want to introduce you to, Franz or whatever. I don't know, I forget his name.
I can't remember his name.
It wasn't
And he was a Canadian guy, he's French accent. And he goes, so I would love to see a script. If we could see a script of what you're shooting today. And I was like, we're not really doing it like that. He was like, what? And I said, well, it's not really, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You'll see. And then the first thing he saw was me getting a coffee enema and then getting an enema and shitting all over Bobby. And he got done and he was crying, laughing. And he goes, what is this? This is not my show. This is, how would you do this? I wouldn't even know how to do this. Did you have these lines lined up? And I said, no. And he's like, what is this? This is amazing. I'm curious, what is your approach? And I was like, I don't really know, man. I was like, we just knew that coffee enemas were popular.
Well, we came in with all these ideas and outlines and scripts and all this stuff, and had to learn, not fast enough, but very fast, what worked. Like, with Bobby and Donnell, we found that they both lost their father, and they both had these different experiences with their father, and that knowing that then like shaped the whole episode and what we were.
And we kind of found that on the fly.
Yeah, we did.
We did Scream Therapy.
Yeah,
and they both opened up about losing their father. Great cancelable moment was in Scream Therapy where I was like, why don't we channel each other's inner fathers? And Donnell's like, Bobby, I'll be your father. And he's like, okay, Donnell. And then Donnell just starts going, oh, Bobby, son, you let me down, Bobby, son. And I'm like, hey, Donnell, you can't really talk like that.
no, he actually was talking in Korean.
And then he started talking in Korean to him, saying, you let me down, you're nothing. And then Bobby goes, oh, why don't I just be your father? I'm sorry I went to prison, Donnell. And I go, Bobby, you can't do that. And I'm laughing so hard at these two doing what is now very inappropriate accents of each other's race to each other. And we were crying, fucking laughing.
Best.
And
It
then we
was
got
brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Really brilliant.
But the thing about it was totally inappropriate, but they knew each other well enough. That was like sort of an icebreaker for that larger conversation. And you're right. I think the cool thing was like Donnell hated every second of it for the first half of the day. And then really when we ended and you guys were all in the hot tub wearing those ridiculous hats was like, I learned from both of you and even through that day. And that was really nice when that kind of authentic thing happened.
Oh, my favorite was when we were all in the sauna.
in the sauna.
We were all in the sauna
Packed
together.
in like sardines.
And we were going and doing round robin where you get hit with the Bert's branch, jump in the bath, and then into the sauna. And Bobby went first, I went second, and then Donnell's like, fuck it. And Donnell did it. When Donnell did it, we did it.
That was a turning point.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of that episode is when we got the psychic who did psychic readings to Bobby and Donnell to channel their fathers. Do you remember that? And she goes, okay, I'm guessing, Bobby, your father was strict? And he was like, yeah. She's like, he held you to a high standard? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, Donnell, I'm reading that your father wasn't around much. And Donnell goes, bitch, you're just racist. He goes, you just said Bobby's dad's Asian and my dad's black. And she goes, was your dad around? He goes, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was in prison, okay? She's like, and you were raised by a single mother? And he's like, oh, motherfucker, you're doing statistics now. It was, and we were crying, fucking laughing. It was that was the funnest, like, easy lifting, funnest episode. Probably one of the more emotional episodes was Nikki and Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Because Caitlyn was a hero to my dad. And I got to have that cool fucking moment of my dad fucking breaking down. And then I fucking cried. Apparently I just cry these days. But it was so fucking cool, and Caitlyn was game.
I was gonna say
Everything.
she reminded me of Anthony Anderson in the sense that she showed up, she was ready to work. She had like
She did. And
I was worried about her going into it. Like, is she gonna
Yeah, she
show
was
up
pretty
late? How much
fearless
is it gonna
and-
push the day? She was great. She was great to work
and
with.
ready to talk about anything.
I remember
Yeah.
them giving me a list of jokes. Do you remember that? They're like, they're going to shoot arrows at you. Here's a list of jokes. And I was like, have these been greenlit by Netflix? And they're like, yeah. Everyone's looked at them. And I was like, I'm supposed to say this to Caitlyn Jenner? And they're like, yeah.
What were those? I don't even remember.
Oh, the first one was, hey, Caitlyn, did you name your dick before you chopped it off? And Caitlyn was
Oh
like,
my God.
okay. And
I
then,
don't remember this at all. That's horrifying.
Did John Oliver go rogue?
and they were like the most aggressive transitioning jokes. And Caitlyn was cool, didn't get upset, rolled with it, laughed, and was like, and didn't have a problem. It was like, I get it, it's a comedy show. They all got edited out, but it was like the list of jokes that I ran by her as they were shooting arrows were fairly a roast joke. They were roast jokes.
During the arrow bit, yeah. They were roast jokes. Yeah. I vaguely remember this. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really fascinating episode to shoot.
The emotional piece when she asks you, when did you know you were a boy? That whole conversation took it to another level. Like that, those were the walls we were breaking. I feel like they
Don't say walls we were breaking.
Yeah, no, but seriously, to take it above, it's slapstick comedy, fun things happening, but having that emotional appeal was what really, I think, made this show so popular. People were like, oh, there's a lot of heart here.
Yeah.
It wasn't just.
What did you think, Liam? What was like a sleeper moment for you in the show where you were like what were your top 5 favorite moments in the show?
Top 5 favorite moments?
3, top 2, top 1.
Well,
Liam.
I loved the Donnell and Bobby the whole episode. I loved the reluctant participant.
Yeah.
Donnell was just a reluctant participant, like, no, okay. The whole episode.
Bobby giving me an enema, Donnell reading the directions. And when that coffee enema wasn't inserted right, when they fucked up the coffee enema and it went all over me, and I thought, and we thought there was shit all over the place because it was coffee. And
Do you remember what we had to dress the crew in for that scene?
Everyone was in hazmat suits.
Oh my God.
Everyone's
I
been
would
shot at.
imagine.
Everyone's in a
COVID suits.
hazmat suit.
Do you remember the medical sign-offs leading up to that? Like do you remember all that back and forth with like you having to sign off that if something were to happen?
If I'm to die, and I was like, wait, hold on.
From a coffee enema?
Well, yeah. And they're like, and the guy, I don't remember the doctor they brought a doctor. He took my blood pressure.
Doctor in.
Took my blood pressure. He's like, your blood pressure is up. I was like, that's not the least of our worries right now. I'm not fucking Bobby Lee's putting coffee up my ass. And he was like, no, that's not going to happen. And I was like, what? And he's like, I can't let you do that. And he's like, I can do it to you. And I was like, what? And he's like, I'll do it to you back here. You walk out with the coffee in your asshole. And I was like, what? No, that's definitely not happening.
That was his pitch.
He goes, I can give you an enema right now, and then you can hold it in you. And I was like, I'm not going to hold water in my ass. I go, and he goes, here's the deal. Just don't have him load you up. And I went, what? And he goes, don't have him fill you up all the way. Like that's where we're going to get in trouble. And so I was like, so Bobby, don't go too hard. And Bobby's like, sure. And he puts the enema in my ass and empties it. And I'm like, oh my God, it's coming out. And I shit the enema water immediately right out. And then they were like, cut, next one. We're up. And the fucking creator of the episode is just standing there going, so how did you guys come up with this?
Crazy. I also liked you and Tom and Joey. I liked that episode a lot too, because you guys are really friends. And that was such an easy thing to watch. Maybe because I know you're really friends and I'm used to seeing you together. And I loved Miss Pat experiencing like the sound bath. And all these things that were so foreign, and her in the lake just killed me.
Oh, her in the lake. I couldn't tell if she was joking.
Yeah, I still don't know.
Because
No, she didn't. I think that was real.
No, she can't swim.
Yeah, I think that was
For
real.
real.
We went
That
down
was
there with
very
this
real.
whole,
This is
like all this like long half
so
day
cold,
scene
too. The
shoot
water
to go
was
down there.
so
was freezing.
The water
It was
was
over in like
freezing.
3 seconds.
That's where I say Kaylee Cuoco was awesome because she was down. She got it,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's when I was like, when we put Pat in the wetsuit and then put her on the inner tube and pushed her out, and she said, I can't swim. And I remember looking around going, that tracks. Like, it makes sense.
Well, the water was also like a foot deep in that whole area.
but it was freezing.
and
It
I
was ice
couldn't
cold.
tell if she was joking
It was January.
or not joking, and she was frozen, like her body. And Joel and I tried to get her out of the inner tube, and it was a fucking. And I remember popping up, going, "Did we shoot this?" Because it happened so fucking fast.
Yeah.
That we were in and out of that scene. It was like it's supposed to be a half-hour day, and all this other stuff was supposed to happen.
And then I lost the car keys. I literally lost the car keys.
I don't know if you were joking or not.
No,
during
that was
whole bit.
literally lost.
And
the
that car
keys.
that we're using was the production designer's
And
Yeah.
then my
SUV,
car
and he
was-
had to use it for the rest of the day for the shoot. We thought we lost the key.
I fucking lost the keys. It was a fucking.
Oh, poor Justin.
yeah.
I also liked a lot of the talks you had with Anthony Anderson and Dion at the end of the day. You know, I think it was interspersed throughout the whole episode,
Yeah.
but that kind of end of the day, the four guys sitting around shooting the shit. I thought you talked about some really great stuff in that moment. So that's
One of my favorite conversations Anthony Anderson had with me and Jay and Dion, and me, Jay, and I'm just saying this, but me, Jay, and Dion are all working comics. Meaning we make our money touring, mostly, predominantly the three of us. And Anthony is more of he's done stand up, but he's more of a stage, film, TV guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about our first times doing stand up, and Anthony Anderson told us about his first time. And we all knew the club. We all knew the club that he was like the Hollywood Comedy Club or the Los Angeles Comedy Club. It was down by Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in on Venice, or I think Venice is it, or whatever, down there, Pico.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, yeah, man, I made a big mistake. And we're like, what was it? And he goes, well, I went in excited, and I sat up front knowing that I was going to go up like eighth, and I just started heckling everyone. And we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, I heckled everyone that was going up before me, and I was killing as a heckler, and no one could get a joke in. And then they said, up next, Anthony Anderson, and I got on stage, and the fucking comedians all sat in the front row and destroyed me. And I was like, oh shit. And he was like, yeah, man, I got really gunshot. It was a really great story that Jay and Dion's like, how have I never heard this story? And he's like, I haven't told you this. And we were like, yeah, it was that whole fucking. It was an experience of a lifetime. It was without a doubt one of the purest representations of who I am. Meaning, like, I don't think there were. It was like you'd come up with an idea and then we just shoot it. And I mean, there was a lot of nudity on my part. But do you remember? Like, I mean, one of my favorite things of like a collaboration is when Miss Pat comes in, and I did the first take, and I got out and I had steam on me, and you were like, oh my God, that's gonna look cool. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, that's how that happened. I don't think we intended for her to be nude when she walked in, but you were like steaming. It looked like you were on fire.
No, you know what it was? You know what it was? Is I would come. By the way, I mean, listen, guys, I'm a professional. I remember I came to work that day. I was a little hungover, and you're like, "Hey, Pat's running like a little bit behind," and I was like, "Ugh," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "No, she just got into hair and makeup." I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go hop in the hot tub and have a cigar," and you're like, "Oh, cool. Let's shoot that. Let's shoot. And that's the opening we have of me in that hat doing all the artwork, all the pictures, was us just fucking around the hot tub and shooting stuff in the hot tub. And then I got out and you're like, wow, you're steaming. And then you guys were like, oh, this is how we greet Pat. She's going to come down. You run out naked, holding your junk, but you got to get really hot so that your steam is like over. And it was such a beautiful shot of me running around, stopping, holding my dick, and steam just coming off my body. I was like, hey, you're here early. She was like, what? And then
she goes, why are you on fire?
Why are you on fire?
It was January in the mountains of Malibu, and I don't think people realize how cold it got up there. I mean, it was fucking cold.
But
and
it was
Miss Pat said something about your junk being like a chicken wing or something.
Yeah.
I laughed hysterically when she said that. You know, something
That's
about
it's one of her bits in her half hour.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah, dang it, she got me. Bert has always said, and I think this show actually was something he'd always asked for. He'd always asked for someone to just let him and his creative team just kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
And even though you didn't really just do whatever, you definitely had a plan and a structure and a production schedule and all that stuff. what you just described was doing whatever. I'm just going to get in the hot tub and, oh my God, you're on fire. And it just kind of became whatever. And I think that happened as an observer from the outside over and over again throughout every single day of the shoot, where you just all of a sudden be like, we'll just do whatever. And then we'll do these other things that we have planned and produced. And I thought it would just made it so rich.
And what was cool is that everyone that worked at Netflix knew all these personalities.
Yeah.
So like Ben Cavey, I don't think I've ever really celebrated Ben's I'm the wrong word. I'm thinking of contribution to the show, meaning how much of a fat thumbprint is Ben, and Ben wanting it to be what he wanted it to be, and having a vision for the show, and then allowing that to morph and kind of like guiding us in the right direction. He was really
Well, the cool thing about Ben is he was a producer in the UK of all of these great comedy shows and similar comedy shows to Tiger Aspect. And, you know, he's one of, this is a little inside baseball, but he's like one of the few comedy execs who is a producer and was a producer most of his life. So being an executive is new. So it was really good for me to be able to talk to him, because he actually has experience like having to deal with this stuff on set and has been through
he's been through it all. He's
been through the fire.
Didn't he do Jack Whitehall?
Yeah,
show? Jack Whitehall's show is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Jack's so funny.
And he I remember him saying that when he got there. He's like, this is kind of my strong suit, is working with comics and helping creative with comics. And I remember being
and
like,
particularly this hybrid of like reality and script.
Yeah, it's
yes,
that
I remember him coming in when we
variety.
realized we weren't going to get scripts out, and he was like, okay. Like, and I think a lot of executives would have just been like, this is what I signed up for. I'm out. Fuck it. You know, like, let's fucking, but Ben came in and was like, okay, let's see what we got. And we put stuff up on the board. And then he was like, and he kept going, like, I remember he kept pushing us going, we should definitely try to get a celebrity. Like, it would help our show. Trust me, it would help our show. And when he realized we weren't, he was like, okay, then let's lean to their strengths. And he, the thing that people loved about it is they felt like it wasn't, you know, like that it was something that people weren't making because we were taking really big swings. And that entirely has been letting us take big swings.
Well, also, I think like the struggle we were in, we're talking about all the time.
We had a bunch of Netflix people on set, by the way. A bunch of Netflix people were on set.
Yeah, they were coming.
And they were fucking always like laughing and like throwing in like, go harder.
Oh yeah,
like,
we had
Vicky
a great
Prieto.
group. We had a great
Yeah,
group.
Nikki
Nothing but
yeah.
she was awesome.
She was awesome.
Oh, she's the best.
And she's literally how we met.
Yeah.
It all
Well, and the
goes
funny thing
back.
is, like, I think like we had all these time constraints. We had to adjust constantly. It was like a constant. We're trying to figure out as we were doing it. But I think like it was all in the spirit of keeping the show authentic in some way,
Yeah.
and that's a difficult thing to figure out, particularly when you're running around and there are all these other demands of we need talent from, you know, that's bigger that we don't know from like Netflix smartly their marketing or whatever. We had to kind of like fall into this new thing that was more about theme and heart than it was about jokes and script. And I think that, thanks to you, is why the show turned out so well, because I think that's like the spirit of you captured was this like just infinite positivity and fun.
That's why
that's
I said I don't think there were a lot of people who could have done what you did, you know?
Oh, well, thank you. I definitely learned so much from the show and took it to the making of the machine and was like, all right. I remember thinking, someone was like, as we're getting ready to make the machine, they're like, you know, there's a couple scenes, and I was like, no, we'll be fine. We'll be totally fine. Trust me, we'll be fine. And they're like, but I know, but when I was like, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out. I
love that this was a warm up for that. That's no, but I think that's so cool because I know the machine is going to be incredible. A buddy of mine went down to Kale's and saw some of the dailies and said it looks amazing.
Yeah, and I was very, very lucky to work with I'm telling you, man, my short list of people that I'm forever grateful for. Todd Garner, both of you, the team over at Netflix, because I will say the same thing as we transition, and I go, Kale, Peter Atencio, the team over at Legendary.
Yeah, they're
like
great.
The team at Legendary is identical. to the team at Netflix. You know, we shoot the first day with Joey and Tom, and Ben's like, Ben calls me or something, and he's like, I think we're gonna have a massive success.
Yeah.
This is fucking great. Keep doing it. Keep going. Like, and just very positive. And the first day of shooting, Josh over at Legendary, owns Legendary or whatever, he texts me. Him and Mary Perrin text me, and they were like, "This is amazing. This is the direction we want to go." Like, just a really like collaborative.
Yeah, that's a
fun.
great group. Those people. Tensi's an old friend of mine too, and he's such a good dude.
But he's like you. He doesn't get phased. He doesn't get shaken. He's like.
It's funny. After I finished Tag, he called me. I hadn't talked to him for years, but we kind of came up in parallel, making a lot of like web comedy videos for no money, and talk. He was out here, and I was in New York at the time, and we talked a lot. And like, he was the first person when I rap Tag, and when you rap a movie, it's like coming out of a war,
dude. There is,
and he was like, "Let me take you out for a beer right now,
dude." What's so interesting is when we wrapped the cabin. I remember going like, I remember being like, it's the same feeling. It's like a depression you go into. You're like, what did I do everything I could have? Should I have stayed later that night, or like when they wrapped and I. Like, or should I have gotten? One thing I remember thinking is, should I have not drank that entire thing? Like, I look a little overweight. Like, do you think that's going to throw people? And I remember you guys being like, I don't think anyone's going to be caught on that. You had just said we just shot a special. You're the exact same size. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're worried about. Like, and
plus you're like. Your asshole is out. No one's looking at
my asshole.
You're
is
5
out.
pounds heavy.
I mean, so much male
There was
frontal
a
nudity.
lot of nudity in this.
So much
More than I was
frontal.
anticipating.
I didn't even
male
realize it until we're in the
nudity.
edits. Where I was like, "Whoa, we really made this."
Yeah, and you got to
thematic
remember, we're in the
exercise.
edits
Did we
with,
show
with
that to-
no blurs.
We're in
Because
the
the
edits.
blurs
I
come
remember
at
having
the end.
Netflix in, and it is my cock on the thing,
On the big screen.
and they're like, "Ooh, okay, all right."
Yeah, well, I got very familiar with your junk over the editing court. I was in there for like 6 months staring at your dick.
Oh, it was
Because the same experience as Ari. I guess
my favorite moment is where I'm laying. It's the end of the day with Big J. And we're doing good morning shots, and I'm rapping,
acupuncture?
and you're like, hey, we need you to wake up, grab that glass of wine that's sitting next to you, take a sip, and then just get out, just get up. And I'm naked. I'm laying on my back. I'm naked. And I have a thing, and there's an assistant camera operator, and a female, and I said, "So when you guys signed up for this project, like, how do they do that? Like, do they like give you a thing and say, just so you know, you're going to be seeing a lot of male nudity, and are you comfortable with that?" And she just goes, "I was told this was comedian cars were getting coffee." And I was like, "Wait, are you?" I go, "Did you not know you'd see me naked?" She goes, "I was never told there would be male nudity." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." She goes, "No. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it."
I'm trying to think who that was.
And she was like, "I'm fine with it." And she goes, "I just was not." I
No,
didn't
it was
know.
a female. It was a female.
Yeah, it was a female.
Yeah, it was one of our. I think she was an AC.
AC camera.
Yeah, she was an AC.
Yeah. I saw.
And I was like,
saw her last night actually.
and she was like, "No, I'm cool with it. She goes, "No, but I definitely was not told that this is what the show." She goes, I didn't. She goes, "I've seen a lot of things on this show that I didn't expect to see."
I've worked
And I was
with her and her boyfriend or fiance for years, and they had no fucking clue what they were about to see. And the crew was so. I talked to them before those things happened, and I was like, guys, like, you don't want to deal with this. And they just were like. Then they got to be like every scene. They were like, "Is Bert naked in this one?" Or
Again.
I remember saying, "What should I do with wardrobe?" And someone goes, "Why don't you just get naked?" And I went, "Okay." And they're like, "No, I'm joking." And I was like, "No, I actually think that works." It was such a fun fucking experience. And then to roll into a movie after doing that and going like, my pivot of the depression of this show, because you shoot a show and then you're like, I hope it's good. And we go and I'd watch an edit, but like, for whatever reason, and everyone has their favorites, but the Miss Pat one was a banger. And the Tom and Joey one, when we looked at the cuts, was a little slower. And that is you guys and Netflix kind of shaping the show in the edit and making it the music, the home.
Fortune Feimster fitting that in.
That
was crazy.
Another huge part of this show, working with Josh Crockett, the editor. He, honestly, he did probably more heavy lifting than I did. This whole thing.
Any of us,
We had to really like
You had
figure
to
out.
find the show.
We had to find the show, which you always do in the edit, but was really fun to kind of figure out a new way to structure a show like this. And I kind of like stole it from some of my favorite podcasts. Like Radiolab does this where it's sort of non-linear, and they're using an interview at the end to narrate back through the whole live part, which really was weird and fun. And I'd never really seen it in a show before. So that was like a small but like really fun creative part of
that
the
led
process.
to the fireside chats.
The
which
fireside
I
chats,
implemented.
well,
Like that saved us. That was your
came up with that on the fly
Yeah.
and hoped it would work.
yeah.
And it was sort of
we
a pain in the ass the whole time we were shooting. But
We did the one with Tom and Joey where we had to smoke the joint,
yeah.
and the fireside chat was so funny, so fucking funny. Joey just was such a force that Tom and I got done. We're like, we did not speak this episode, and I remember you guys being, it's okay. We all laughed hysterically.
Well, Tom laughing at Joey is so charming. It's so adorable.
Yeah.
Three of you guys together is so cute.
But also, you guys smoked that massive
Yeah.
joint. The
And
next
then,
thing
did
you know,
because you know that was the day Georgia got her learner's permit,
I don't remember.
and then we
remember
took Georgia out for a ride. I came home that night.
I don't remember.
Oh well, good. It's better that you don't remember.
Yeah, I block all that shit out.
And so, but yeah, that was a really. I mean, it was such a cool. I remember Fortune. I was in that mud bath.
Yeah.
And it was such a fucking awesome mud bath. It's so fucking funky. I'm in the mud bath. I think I'm in a thong or in a Speedo or
in a
naked.
Speedo, I think, yeah.
And I go, I need to clean myself. And Fortune cleaned myself. It was cleaning me. She's hosing me down. And then I said, get my winker. And she goes, what? And I said, you need to clean my asshole. And she goes, all right, pull your pants down. And she starts spraying it. And I said, how many men's assholes? And she goes, never. You're my first one. And I said, you've never seen a man's asshole? And she goes, no. And I'm guaranteed I'll never see another one. But it was like everyone was game to have a good time. And by the way, just to be very clear, I talked to every female person on the thing about consent, because I was like all of them. Nikki, I was very clear. I was like, Nikki, you're about to see my asshole. I need you to consent. If you do not consent, you don't have to see my asshole. Edit it out. But she's like, I consent to your. Maybe it was in. I consent to see your asshole.
That made it.
I consent to seeing your asshole. And I was like, and Fortune came out. I go, I'm in the thong. You consent to see me possibly naked? I consent. Across the board, because it was just after the Me Too thing, and I was like, I'm making sure everyone's consenting.
Right.
remember we went back and forth a little
so
bit
adamant about this.
with you coming out of the hot tub with Miss Pat. I remember there was a little bit of questions there of like, is it appropriate for you to be greeting Miss Pat naked?
No, I was worried about that for sure in the edit.
we just
because-
didn't want to give the wrong.
Because you guys are like
impression.
old friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the first time she's seen you naked. And
Definitely not the first time,
And
and it will be the last time.
Yeah, I think she's had enough.
Yeah, she by the
had
time,
enough.
yeah,
Well, at least we got that. We don't need to shoot that.
yeah. But we coming out with my hand on my junk, and her seeing me, it was such a great group of people that were game for everything, including even when they weren't. Like Donnell, he still was, and even like he wasn't like with Dion he still was like, he didn't like bail and go, my blood pressure is 170 over 120. They think I'm having a stroke. Like whatever the fuck, I'm bleeding out of my face. Like he still fucking stuck around and shot the rest of the episode.
His blood pressure?
His blood pressure was high. It wasn't that bad. It was like 150 over 90. But they were
It
like
was lower than Matthews during this
Yeah.
year.
Did you know that night I went to CVS and bought a blood pressure machine because the guy freaked. My blood pressure was high.
Yeah, he was like
Because I was on
100-year-old.
stress levels because we were trying to get that done. We were this was after weeks and weeks of just being buried deep in craziness.
Yeah, we
it
almost
was
killed
fun.
Matthew,
It was
honestly.
great,
I
but it was
believe you.
crazy.
I was worried.
And so that night, remember, I was, you guys were, Dion got his blood pressure taken because he was spitting blood and all
Yeah.
that. And I went up and I was like, hey, do you mind just, give him, and I honestly, in my head, something told me, I was like, I do feel a little, like, I just want to check what it is.
having
right
a
now.
ringing in my ears.
And I forget the exact reading, but I texted it to my mom, and my mom was like, "Go to a CVS immediately and get a blood pressure machine and call me back." And I went and I left set. That's why I wasn't there when you guys at the immediate wrap, because I went and I got a blood pressure machine. I had to bring it down because it was really fucking high.
It was an intense moment in time.
It was an intense moment in
Yeah.
time, but
The
it
whole
also,
time.
yeah. I'm gonna text you later for your cardio person.
Oh, he's great. He's great. Yeah, he's all of ours. I mean, not to tell. I'm sure you probably can't tell who all goes to my cardiologist, but It's every comic that parties.
I know Jeff had good reviews.
Yeah.
We're all like, we got to do this now before it's too late.
You
know,
do.
I feel like we
Because I guarantee you, this will not be your last stressful.
No, not at all. And
Right?
it's as you go, it always happens. It's managing these things. But I think the pandemic a little bit was almost like it was a double-edged sword. There was some positivity to it because everybody was forced to just kind of chill for a minute.
Yeah.
And
Look at
that helped.
These things looking at you while you're peeing. Is
Yeah,
the most
right?
horrifying.
I have to pee, and I actually have to get ready
They're
to pounce.
awesome.
I'm so sorry.
You gonna leave? We'll wrap this up. We'll wrap this up.
love it.
What was? Oh, I want to play. Do you have the?
Well, I
the
have a
clip?
question.
What's your question?
The number one email I get, because I read his emails, is, are you going to do another season?
I'd be totally up for it, and I'll tell you why
I
I'd
would
be
love
up
to.
for it.
I get so many
definitely up
emails.
for
I'd be up for it, and I'll tell you why. The number one fan of this show, and a guy who wants to do it, is Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg. So we shot I think we were shooting my Go Big show before The Cabin was out. And so I was talking about it a lot. And then Snoop got done and went on Netflix and he saw The Cabin. And I called him one afternoon and I was like, what's up? He was like, you're a bad motherfucker. And I said, really? And he goes, that Cabin show is fucking hilarious. I said, you liked it? And he goes, I want to be a guest. I got to be a guest. When are you doing season 2? And I was like, Snoop, I hate to tell you this. If you're in, I guarantee you Netflix is in.
We got to get it going.
I would do a season 2. And I think, you know,
That's
when things,
so crazy to me that Snoop Dogg watched the show.
Oh, I think,
love that.
I think a lot of people watch this.
a lot of people
lot of
watch.
people
I'm
did watch the
surprised how many people know this show.
and I think, I mean, I know that it's,
I get
What's-
so many emails saying that's the show that got that person through the pandemic. That show got them through the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough because very candidly, the show comes out in the pandemic, does very well. There's no way to shoot any TV show for the next 17 months or next probably 10 months. So there's no, I mean, talking to Netflix, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do a season 2 because we're not shooting anything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah. I was like, that stinks. But then everyone starts getting other projects. You start doing other projects. And then all of a sudden when people are like, hey man, are you into doing another season of The Cabin? And that's, everyone asked me if I would do another season of The Cabin. And for a while I was like, no, I think it was good for what it was. I think it was a cool, like, you know, when you see Ricky Gervais talk about, you know, The Office and just doing like 10 episodes or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, that's it. Like I'm cool. Because we had talked about, didn't we talk about
I was trying to think about.
We talked about doing season 2 on a boat or something.
Yeah, a boat, and then there was the road trip also.
Yeah. And we were
You
talking.
in an RV or something, like just hitting the road.
We had talked about doing different versions of what a season 2 would look like.
Yeah.
And but then, you know, the pandemic kind of got away from us, and I think our opportunity to then transition, which would have happened, I think naturally, is that first week when I remember Ben calling me. I was on the road and he was like, congratulations, you have a massive hit. Enjoy yourself tonight and celebrate your success. It was a great fucking
nice.
call.
That's
it was a
nice
great
phone
fucking
call.
call. Ben KB has always been extremely, extremely sweet to me and very honest.
Yeah.
And I think that when they would have been like, let's do a season 2, no one, you couldn't make television. And then all of a sudden, I think when, you know, the way it works is, you know, by the time they can make television, they've already got a list of new things they want to do. But, you know, I think I'm still working with Netflix right now on a few different projects and that are not, I can't really talk about it, but and then the movie, and I think, you know, we may have an opportunity. And the number one thing is, I mean, I'm certain is if I would be into doing it, and I'd fucking definitely be into doing
Oh,
it.
it would be great. It would be so much
Especially
fun.
now that we know what the hell we're
now
doing.
that we know-
It'd be so
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to do it.
You know how
I would just love
fucking-
to do it and not be so stressed out because we know what.
First episode,
know
Kelly
we're
Cuoco
after.
and Miss
Clip
Pat.
this out, and I'm going to send it to Ben.
The redo.
Yeah, clip it out. I'll
Clip
send
it
to
out, and I'm
Ben.
going to send it to Ben.
Well, I can call Ben and this is the number reason. I wonder if I still have Ben's number.
Well, wrap Matthew out. He's got to
All right,
go.
all
babe.
right.
I have to go. I'm so sorry.
What do you got for the rest of your day?
I'm playing golf.
Oh, you motherfucker.
What time is it?
I'm sorry. I've
I don't
gotten
have
into
Ben.
it. I've gone down the rabbit hole. I'm now playing. It was the quarantine sport.
Oh
It
yeah.
was the one thing you could do outside with, you know, a lot of business people, a lot of
I've
agents.
never played
a
golf
lot
in my
of-
entire life.
Our daughters
fucking
joined the
awesome.
high school golf team because of that. Because that was a
Yeah.
sport they could play in the pandemic.
Oh,
So
really?
they're
So
both playing
frustrated,
golf in
though.
high school.
Oh, it's fucking awesome.
Dude, yeah.
Cute.
It is cute.
Speaking of which, I got to shoot a golf promo, gentlemen. I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for one of the coolest experiences of my life. It was a fucking blast. I had more fun making that show, and it was more of a representation of who I am to people that wouldn't know or my fans, and it was a great representation of all my friends. And I could not done it without you and Todd. Am I saying the right name?
Todd, yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm like fucking buzzed. It was
Garner.
Yeah, Todd Garner. Jesus Christ.
I had like fucking a quarter of that beer and forgot everyone's name.
But no, and all those and everyone at Netflix for being as generous as they were. It was the coolest fucking experience of my life. I'm glad we finally did this podcast. And
it's so
talked
nice to
about it.
see you after all this time.
It's great
And right
seeing
back
you.
at you too. It was such a great experience to do it with someone that you love and respect. To get to work on. Same with Todd. Same with you. That's what makes these things great.
Yeah,
I'll take the high blood pressure for it.
Yeah.
It's nice to do this just because it was really fun, but it was so fast and it was really more stressful than it seems.
Now we know.
And
though.
it was
Now we know.
It was
Now
a
we
really
know.
lovely
We
experience.
need 29 days, not 26.
Yeah. Let's do 36.
Let's do 36. Let's do 36 on a fuck in Hawaii. Let's do it in Hawaii next
We need
time.
6 months
Puerto
in Hawaii
Rico's
to
looking
shoot.
really nice right
6
now.
months minimum. 6 months minimum in Hawaii.
And shout out to what are these called again? I've got to look this
El
up.
Blunto.
This was delicious.
El Blunto. Take the rest of the joint with you for golf.
I am.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one I am.
And I
Does
also
Joey have these too?
I also want to say thank you to Leanne Kreischer.
Aw.
Because
You
are
Shucks.
it's not on the list as an executive producer, but you are a silent executive producer that got so much shit done. And without you, and the one thing I want to say,
Just post after when we got home.
but
was
one
when
of the
everything
things,
shut
the
down.
one moment when my depression of the show laxed, I remember sitting in the room and Leanne was laughing hysterically on the couch, and I walked in, what the fuck are you laughing at? She goes, The Cabin. And I went, what? She goes, this show is fucking hilarious. And I was like, you think? And she's like, Bobby, Lee, and Donnell are fucking hilarious. And I was like, what? She's like, Bert, all these episodes are great. And I was like, are you being serious? She was like, yeah. And I was like, and all of a sudden I was like, fuck, I can't wait till this comes out.
Yeah, honestly, Leanne, I feel the same way. Like I watched 6 months of these cuts and I couldn't tell if it was good, bad, or what was working or not.
You get lost
and
in
having you like really feel great about it was really important
Yeah.
to me.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And
I
also-
enjoyed it. It was fun.
And also, you have a long list of credits. You were gaffer, you were cameraman,
Hair,
you were talent
makeup,
regular, you were talent,
wardrobe.
you were an executive producer.
She did craft services at once
COVID
with the ice cream when the
officer.
ice cream showed up.
Oh,
We
man.
did. Yeah, I did. Location. I did
Location.
By the way,
background.
this was a room. This was a location in one of the.
This was
Yeah.
we
This is-
built,
this is
we
where it was
built a
sitting, yes.
wall
This
to
was
mimic
it.
the wall of the cabin that you would
I
sit in
just
front
threw
of.
that wall out. I
That
just
was
threw it out
crazy
when
that we were
moved.
able to make that work though.
It was
That was crazy,
insane.
but we made it work. That was COVID.
The whole thing was crazy.
A testament to
So
the three
fun.
people in this room, gentlemen. Leanne, thank you for a successful series. It was a fucking blast. And Ben Cavey, if you're listening, let's do season 2.
Season 2, Ben.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Love it.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Great.
That was
Oh wait! Hold on. 1 second. You gotta play the thing. You gotta play the thing. Okay, hold on. This is Leanne. Did you ever see these? So just so you know, we tried to get celebrities to do our show, and so we shot this sizzle to send to celebrities.
terrified. I can't.
And so we sent it to what, like 150 celebrities.
This is how we got Anthony.
This is how we got Anthony.
I think, yeah.
And by the way,
Once, at least.
it worked one time.
And
time.
Caitlyn too, right?
I think and
They
Caitlyn.
all got it, I think.
Okay.
No, I absolutely love it, guys. I think it's a brilliant idea. Now we need an A-lister.
Hey, my name's Bert Kreischer. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I have a new series on Netflix called The Cabin. And you're getting this message because, quite honestly, I am a huge fan of yours,
Donnie and or Mark Wahlberg.
now. I know you already want to pass. I understand that. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't pass. A, it shoots in Malibu. Really easy, right? B, we only need you for half a day. So you're in and out of there. See, it's super light lifting. Now, if you're still on the fence, let me tell you a little bit about me.
Well, please welcome Bert Kreischer. ladies and gentlemen.
Bert Kreischer, athlete, resting heart rate of 47.
47.
That's pretty crazy, man.
When I was 22, I got involved with the Russian mafia. Here's how it happened.
Time's up for the boys!
Hey, thank you for taking the time. If you pass, I completely understand. But please consider me for
I
anything.
love this. Oh my God.
We sent those to everyone.
Chris Hart's number.
Who is this one? Who is this one?
Hey, my name's Bert Kreischer. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I have a new series on Netflix called The Cabin. And you're getting this message because, quite honestly, I am a huge fan of yours.
Magic Johnson.
I know you already want to pass. I understand that. I'm going to tell you why you.
That was the best.
Put this on your social.
I should put this on Instagram. Wait, who's this one?
Hey, my name's Bert Kreischer. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I have a new series on Netflix called The Cabin. And you're getting this message because, quite honestly, I am a huge fan of yours.
Josh Gad.
Now, I know you already want to pass. I understand that. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't pass, okay?
That's great. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you, guys.
Amazing.